Goalies, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
I told you long ago on the road, I got what they waiting for.
And here we go, OverDrive off and running, TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and as always, up on YouTube Live. Brian Hazio, Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan. How we feeling this afternoon?
Feeling good, and I can already see signs. I see signs out there from different areas, walks of life, how the pattern of behavior can stay the same. Because I think some people are like, it takes about a week, and then they're like, you know what? Maybe we're not as well off if those guys leave. Gotta bring them back. Let's go. Okay. I see it. Dude, I see it. I see it in Costco. I see it online. And I'm not talking about Paul Bissonnette being a goof and a donkey on Twitter. I'm talking about peeps out at Costco wandering the streets. It's like there's something in the air. I think the timeline is about a week, and then it sets in where they're like, I'm getting on board with that.
It's Stockholm Syndrome. That's what it's called. Stockholm Syndrome.
It might be, Noodles. It might be, but I am. I'm picking up on the same thing. I had a conversation with a group of guys earlier this afternoon, and I was taken aback because naturally when they see me, I'm sure it's the same with you guys.
Yep.
You know, launch right into what do you make of the Leafs? What do you think's going to happen here? And I wouldn't say it was everybody, but a number of them were, I think Mitch is coming back. You know, I think it makes sense. And then a round table on all this kind of stuff and always believed it was going to happen. Now, I will say, you know, there's the real world and then there's the online world. And the online world is a different reality, right? It's a completely different existence.
Explain that comment, please.
Well,
you have to
online, it's 90% got to change. Marner's got to go. Get rid of Tavares. Maybe you got to think of ripping the C off Matthews. Like, it's not
trade
stable
Riley, do
online.
all of this stuff. You're right.
A lot of different stuff gets thrown out there online. Doesn't mean those aren't real people or real Maple Leaf fans, but it's a massive fan base, and it always has been. And there's always been people at both ends of the spectrum and then millions of people in between. And I'm curious what you guys think we will hear from Brad Treliving, because it was announced today he will meet with the media on Thursday, and he's, I guess, been sitting there with Keith Pelly, you know, out for dinner with Pelly and talking with Pelly all day. I would expect to have an answer by Thursday on where the Leafs kind of stand on the Marner situation. Wouldn't you? Like,
if I was Tree, I'd have a definitive answer. Either we're going to bust our ass to try to re-sign this guy, or it's we've cut bait and he's moving on. He's not coming. Like,
that's what it should
one
be.
One way or the
you
other,
owe
I would
to
come
your
with
fans.
that.
One way or the other. Be decisive and say what you're going to say, what your plan is. Because if your plan is to walk, why does it matter if you announce it Thursday?
Right.
Like, you might as well just say, we are changing. We love Mitch. Mitch won't be a Maple Leaf anymore. But I'm not convinced we're going to hear that on Thursday.
I don't – here's why I feel like we're not going to hear that on Thursday, is because we don't know what the marketplace is for Mitch Marner. And so if he goes out, if it's the Steven Stamkos situation where he walks himself to July 1st and then realizes, I don't like what's out there, I really enjoyed staying here, I might take a hometown discount in the end. Again, I'm being crazy.
Talking about hometown discount.
We think that's coming now, a hometown
It's not
discount.
coming, I know, and I'm instantly regretting my comments.
Yes.
But understand, why would you commit to cutting bait with anybody this Thursday as opposed to going, we're going to see how unrestricted free agency. Like, I don't think we want, I know we want the answer. I don't think he's going to give it to us this Thursday.
I guess I should say I probably don't think he will either, because Treliving has a great way, like all these GMs, of saying a bunch of stuff without saying anything.
Right.
And my guess is he will say a bunch of stuff without saying anything. And he'll be pressed on it, and he'll say, listen, we love Mitch, and we're gathering information. But I hear what you're saying about the mark. That you're speaking to it from a Marner perspective. If the Maple Leafs are deciding finally change,
right,
then there's no reason why you can't. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing unprofessional. In my opinion, that's not that's not throwing Marner under the bus.
Right.
Like if you're just being honest that we are going to go in a separate direction. Mitch's deal is up on June 30th. We've loved him for 9 years. He's a great Leaf. There's a whole another conversation with Marner down the road about, jersey retirements and all that kind of stuff that will come up at some point because 9 years is a long time. And this guy, I believe, is top 5 in points. He's top 5 in assists. He's put up a ton of numbers. And that's a completely different situation. So they should absolutely respect him. They should pay him that respect.
Right.
But I'm saying from a Leaf perspective, Noodles.
Okay.
Now, again, I guess I'm answering my own question. I don't think Treliving's going to come out and slam the gavel down and say, change is, here.
Right.
And it's over. And I don't think he'll do that because that's not in his nature, and I don't think that's in the nature of most GMs. But that's very different than we better keep our cards on the table. Like, what are you keeping your cards on the table for? Either you're going to make the massive change and rip the Band-Aid off, or you're not.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
No, I'm not trying to be a contrarian with this. All I'm trying to do is look at it and go, why would definitively the decision have to be made this Thursday as opposed to
obviously it doesn't have to be. Like,
right.
Obviously, Noodles.
That's called the
have
Hayes
to.
timeline.
Yes. I'm just saying.
An OverDrive timeline. Sure, we want it.
I mean, listen, by then you're a couple of weeks out of the playoffs. You're into June at that point.
Yeah.
And it's like you got less than a month. And they're not playing anymore to make a determination on what you're going to do.
Yeah, no, I guess let me put a question back to both of you. Is change one or both of them gone? And I'm talking Mitch Marner and John Tavares. So what if we're not resigning John Tavares, regardless, if he wants to play for $12?
Mm-hmm. That
Noodles,
would, I think, be a
where I
significant
stand
change.
on this. You know where I stand on this.
I understand.
And I continually have people, I'm not kidding, harassed.
No, you're not. Do we need security for you? We need
Guys,
security.
It's not funny. I'm being harassed by bots and burner accounts.
Uh-oh.
And
Okay.
they think I have something personal, and it's almost like, do these people think that I'm stupid? Like, do they think I don't talk to any other people around the league? Where I get comments like, if they bring those guys back as a unit and think they're going to win and anything's going to change, they're absolute. Like, I don't need to get into who I know and who I talk to, but I almost look at it as like an analyst perspective where I dread if they run it back, if they actually had the balls to run it back, and me sitting on that desk and sitting with you guys saying, yeah, they just couldn't find a way to get it done and score a big goal and look different and be different and get different results. That to me would be absolutely bananas if I had to do that.
Well,
Like it would
you,
be
but
banana. It's almost like I know what's going to happen, but if you want to go ahead and do it and dump a bunch of money into it and then have us all at the end of the season put our hands up and say, wow, they just couldn't find a way to get it done, then we have a job to do. Well, I'll go ahead and do it, but I know what's coming.
It's not 0% that's going to happen. I don't think it's 0%.
So you don't think it's zero? Okay, quick around the table.
You are running those burner accounts.
No, I'm not.
Quick around the table.
I harass you to your face.
You guys do, exactly.
I
It's
let you know who's
face-to-face
harassing
harassment. Is it so, Hayes, you're obviously, it's not 0% that the core four is coming back.
No, I would say the reverse of that it's 100%, that it's
not
being
100%.
broken up. Like
Yeah.
if the mini Jerry's is,
Yes.
that it's being broken up. Like someone's going, I'm trying to figure out how I would calculate that, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I've learned too much from this franchise, from the way that they operate, and from the players. There's also like the Tavares element is a very different conversation. John has been very forthright. He's on the record, wants to stay. He's hoping to work it out.
Right.
All of our insiders continue to suggest that may happen in the next week or two.
Let me just and I don't hate John.
I know
Tavares
that. I'm
either.
just
no.
Your opinion is different from what could happen, though.
I
That's
know.
the point.
But as far as Tavares, do people understand how not normal that is for a guy to lose year after year? And he's like, I'm staying. I got to come back. Like a big percentage of players would be like, I got to try this somewhere else, man. I'm 35 years old. I got to try it somewhere else. Do they not know how abnormal this is for someone to say it's just got to be here?
And in a weird way,
that's bizarro world, man.
That would scare me a little bit. If I'm the Leafs, that it's like, are you staying because you really believe you can win, you want to win, or are you staying because it's, it's your home, it's comfortable, everyone's here? I don't know. I mean, that is something I think that is worthy of being asked. I don't think that is a question that Brad Treliving, if he were to ask, would be, again, uncalled for. And I'm sure John would be diplomatic in that moment and say, of course I want to win. I think they can win. And again, it's not like he's sticking around in San Jose or in Chicago. Like, the Leafs are a really good team, and they've been a really good team. They go to the playoffs every year. He's been a Maple Leaf. He's never seen what pain is like to be a Maple Leaf. None of these guys have. That's kind of the amazing thing. They, like, ever since Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares arrived, they have made the playoffs every single year. Yes, it hasn't gone well for them for the most part since when they get there, but every year it's been a great ride. Regular season, being a Maple Leaf, there's nothing better than that. Yeah. Paid a fortune, treated like gods, biggest hockey market in the world. Every game matters, packed house. Yeah. What a life. It's a great life. But that's the question. If you're Treliving, how much can you stomach the change, the uncertainty, what could come with that? Who's available, who you think you can get, who you can trade for, who you can sign, who you can develop, all that kind of stuff. And that's, I'm sure, what Treliving and Pelly are talking about the last couple of days. But I don't know. I've been saying this since it came to an end. I think safe money's on change. I think safe money's on maybe Marner leaving, and that's right. That's probably safe money. That's probably the right bet. But I've been down this road too many times with this team and with these players when everything is a negotiation. Everything is. And this could be too in the end. The dust is settled and people are back on the golf course and up in Muskoka and having a good time. And,
dude, it's exactly, it takes
maybe
10
it
it's like 10
circles
days. And
back.
It's like guys like golf, it takes 10 days. Like, they were like, get him all gone. And then 10 days later, you tee it up and it's like, it's like something. It's a spell.
Men in Black, man.
Yeah, it's like they get hit with the Men in Black, and they're like, "Run it back, let's run it back," and then they all start nodding their heads, and they're like, "Run it back, run it back."
That is the definition of insanity.
Yes.
Like, we've got enough data now. I'm the other way too. I don't think, like, the way that Mitch Marner's body language and the way that he was speaking in his media. I know he's very careful. But that sounded like a guy who felt like he played his last game as a Maple Leaf. Like, he talked about his time in Toronto. He didn't once say, I'm committed to this. Obviously, his agent is a guy who wants to negotiation.
You can't say you're dying to stay. They'll take advantage of that.
So I would point one thing, and I don't know if we brought this up, but a defenseman in the NHL brought this up to me the other day and was like, if I was sitting where D-men sit and a forward with dry hair was yelling back at the defense and yelling at the team going, let's wake up. And he goes, it's halfway through the game and this guy has not one bead of sweat in a Game 7 on his person. Be like, maybe look in the mirror. Like, we haven't even talked about that. Like, I was chuckling about it. I went back and watched the replay. This guy's screaming at the bench. You didn't break a sweat in warm-up. You didn't break a sweat with nerves heading into a game. Watch him take his helmet off.
I understand.
Zero sweat. Dry hair. Screaming at the bench.
Everyone had to wake up. And
that is insanity.
Right. That's his McDavid moment. Dry hair, wake up, everyone.
No, listen, I respect the passion. I think Mitch Marner wanted to win. I really do. I'm just saying, like, optics. If I'm sitting on the bench and a guy with dry hair is screaming at the bench going, let's wake up, maybe you can put in a little extra effort yourself. That's the way I look at it.
Well, I think that's reasonable across the board. I think it's, again, a true indictment of things when you consider this is even a conversation in a Game 7. But it is, and it was. All right, let me throw a few more likely to happens at you guys. All right? And you tell me where you stand, just to try to get a read on this. And maybe we can get a poll up because, again, I did say what I said about, online activity and Twitter and all that. Maybe it's not truly conducive to what's going on out there in the real world.
Right.
But where do fans stand? And I don't even know how to frame it. Is it, do you want him back? Do you think he'll be back? Those are two different stories, right? Do you want Marner back or do you think Marner will be back? It's two very different stories. And the truth is the fans and us and everyone else on the outside have no power in this. It's Marner first and foremost. He's got to make the call. And the Leafs, right, on whether or not they want to make it happen too, and if so, what it would look like. But let me throw this out. to you guys. More likely to happen, Mitch Marner re-signs in Toronto or Sam Bennett signs in Toronto?
Mitch Marner.
I say neither. I know.
You got to pick one, though.
Neither's. It's Mitch
I hear
Marner.
you, but you got to pick one.
Yeah.
Marner
Sam Bennett
or
is going to be the
I-
exact same thing as Reinhart, where it's going to be the end of the season.
Yeah.
They either win the cup or they don't. It's going to take about 24 hours, and he's like, I'm not leaving Florida. I'm not leaving this team.
Yeah.
And they work it out. That's what's going to happen.
I think you're probably right.
I'm saying Marner then. I agree. Because I think Sam Bennett will realize, I mean, if he hasn't already, obviously he wants to maximize this contract, but he also has to realize his situation. And he is going to have, just like Mitch Marner, they're going to have a lot of teams, begging for their services. Because they're both very good players in their own right, different situations. I watched your Jay hit last night. I thought it was
did you?
Very good. You were the voice of Toronto sports.
Voice of reason. It's not voice of reason. It's the voice of Toronto
sports. You are the
sports.
voice of Toronto sports. I don't know.
Yeah.
Voice of reason? Listen.
Reason is
that's
questionable
subjective.
at times.
Yeah, it's subjective.
Yes.
But I thought it was a great hit.
I was firing on all cylinders.
You were.
last night.
And I thought you articulated it perfectly. Because if San Jose's signing Sam Bennett and going to go, you're delivering us to the playoffs, he has to realize situational awareness, which he does. He's a smart player and he gets it. But Mitch Marner, again, I come back to what my comment yesterday about Ken Holland and how he liked to build his teams and what I heard. Like, Brad Treliving is going, that's 100 points that might be walking out the door. How am I going to change? How am I going to replace that? Or is it going to look different? Or is it going to be the same player? Or is it going to be a combination of a bunch of different players to make up those 100 points? Like, that is the multi-million-dollar question that Brad Treliving has to go through right now, because he has no idea if Mitch Marner wants to play for the Leafs.
Yep, it's his job.
July 1st, right?
And if he doesn't, it's also $11 million to work with.
Correct.
Right? There is a lot of flexibility that comes with it. I would say more likely Marner stays than Bennett signs in Toronto. More likely to happen, Marner signs in Toronto or Morgan Riley gets traded this summer.
Morgan, these are all turning up Mitch signing in Toronto. Is this some kind of dirty trick?
No, I'm just pointing. I got a number of them here. I got even non-hockey ones if you want me to throw some at you.
Do you know how much term Morgan Riley has on his deal?
He's got 5 years left, I believe. At 7.5, full no trade.
How many years has he been in the organization? 10?
11, maybe 12 now. Okay. Might be 12.
Like, listen.
He's a lifer.
He is a lifer, and, like, he's committed to this organization long term. He could easily, over the years, put up his hand and said, check, please. At some point, maybe he will. But at some point, the organization might try and force his hand and say, we want to head in a different direction as far as the mix on the back end. You might be a part of this. I don't know. He controls everything. He's got a full no move, correct?
Yep. Yeah, he's got a full no trade. Yep. And listen, he's at 7.5 with the cap going up. If he can get back to where he has been at times in his career, there's a lot of value in that.
100%, a lot of value. We love Morgan, but
kind of feels, I guess, like maybe Marner re-signing. All right, let me throw this one at you. This is going to get you. All right, more likely to happen. Marner re-signs in Toronto or Carolina comes back to win the series.
Oh.
Got to be. What do you got?
You just really, these are.
I'm just trying to put this into perspective.
Okay.
It's not as long of a shot as you guys, as everyone has been maybe saying it is the last 10 days.
I feel like, and my dust hasn't settled. That looked like a player that was on his way.
I hear you. I agree.
I'm not talking.
It was also the ugliest time ever after getting embarrassed, twice in a row on home ice, and how not his first rodeo, and he's from here, and he knew it was coming. Right? He knew it was like, this is going to be so nasty, and it's going to get ugly for everybody. And it was, and everyone was taking bullets, and I don't know.
Well,
I think clearly they put forth their plan, the Marner camp, on how they were going to negotiate this year. So I think he was well aware of how he was going to answer all those questions, because he knew that they were coming. And if you want to if you wanted the team to believe you're out, so that they beg you to stay with more money, I would say that was an Oscar-worthy performance. If that was the intention, I don't know that it was, but if it was, I'd say he sold it hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, you're right. But again, you keep using the core four or whatever, or just Marner. Like, it could be, hey, we're going to put, a long-term deal in front of Mitch, or we're going to work out a deal.
Yep.
But Tavares is out of the mix.
Yes. And that would be change. That would be a lot of change.
So that's, in the end, that's probably, again, what you're looking at. And this is no slight on John, especially if he wants to play for, what we would term pennies on the dollar, a $3 or $4 million contract type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be changed because you're using that $11 million to change that position. You're actively looking for a second line centerman. And you're going to have to acquire that potentially through a trade, unless you feel like Matt Duchene's an option and he wants to come here.
Yeah, or maybe Willie gets.
I don't think they need to look for a sec. Like I have a strong feeling that John Tavares is locked in and signing. Whether that's a second line center,
I think so too. I don't think.
I think it's a slam dunk. Like it's not even. It's just working out details as far as I'm concerned.
So then the change is Mitch Marner leaving.
Well, that would have to be it. Yeah, for the most part. And maybe it won't happen.
Let's just get into the spirit of things and join the run it back cult.
I can't. It's been 9 years of this, and you guys literally think that, run it back again?
No, it's not about an opinion. That's not my opinion.
Noodles,
I have made it very clear.
That's what happens. They suck you into believing stupid things.
No, they're not sucking me in. They're sucking it. I don't know. Like I say, you want to be regular season heroes? Go ahead. That's what they've been for 9 years. In the playoffs, they've got 2 playoff wins.
Yep.
That's it.
That's correct.
And we talked about it. It's the 4 players are excellent players, but they're all the same player. When it comes to push, comes to shove in the playoffs.
They don't bring different things to the table.
This year, how many times have we talked on this show? Blue in the face, going, this is different, got a different coach, different. This feels different. We said it the last 3 years. No, it was you.
Bastard.
You said it. I heard you say it. It feels different.
Yeah.
MJ said it. CJ said it. Everybody on this show.
Across the board.
No,
never me. Except for Noodles, maybe. And I don't think I did either. But.
I was hoping it felt different. We all said it.
Yes.
We all
what
said
is this,
it. We're
9 years? I got to be honest with you. I think I would have pulled the plug after the Columbus-Montreal blow-up back-to-back. I think that's what I would have said. That
was 4 years ago, man. That was pandemic times, dude. We're outside maskless now.
Yeah.
Like we're cruising around.
We're golfing again.
Buffets are open, man.
So we can hide our opinion behind a mask.
Yeah, that's it. Those were mask takes. We're in a different world now.
Listen, I don't want to sound that sharp or harsh on it. I just get frustrated where it's like I'm getting the same comments that you guys are from people going, well, they're that close. Like Florida goes and wins the Cup, then you took the Cup champions to Game 7. They kicked your ass twice in your own building.
Yep.
Like, yes, and the first 2 games, the goaltender was no good for Florida, and yes, you played well, but it just, yes, you made the final 8. If that's what Carolina's now won a game in the conference final. So now they've broken through. So what people are saying was maybe it's the Leafs. They can get to there and they can break through finally. Maybe, but at some point you got to go. Change might be for the better because we don't know what's on the other side of the fence because we haven't seen it in 9 years.
And I think that would actually be very encouraging and very refreshing. And, like I said earlier, it's like writing a script for a HBO show or a Crave show. Like you got to mix it up, man. You got to change up the characters and the storyline every once in a while.
Right.
What I will say to finish this thought, because this all came up because of the Treliving news, just that he's speaking on Thursday. If they're out on Mitch or John, I'm not convinced he'll say it. I don't see why he shouldn't. I think it would be actually very beneficial to the fans to prepare them. Like this, we're going to officially change. But I'm not convinced that'll happen just based on the nature of himself and GMs in general. What I do think we'll have an answer on is if he wants both of them back, we'll know it on Thursday. Because he'll answer in a way that'll be, listen, we love these guys. We believe we're real close. And he'll start bloviating. Here I am playing role play, Brad Treliving. He'll start saying, well, change comes in different fashions. Maybe we need change in this area, and it'll be a distraction thing.
You think he'll toss out internal improvements?
Internal improvements will come up. Maybe Ross Atkins will show up. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, I got more Marner signs or more likely to happens a little bit later on, so buckle up.
I'll do it all day.
These are great.
I got a bunch of them.
Guys, I think we should punch our ticket and join the cult. Run it back. Run it back.
All right.
I don't think so.
You're not
I'm
going to sell
signing up
me and
for
Noodles
that.
on that. We're
I'm
reasonable,
sorry.
reasonable people.
What if I come up with one scenario?
You got to sell us. I'll tell you this. You got until 7 p.m. tonight. You have until we get off the air. You got to sell us. You got to come up with a pitch, think about it, and Noodles and I will tell you if we've been swayed at all. We got Emily Kaplan.
I'm going to come back
up.
and I'm going to give you reason number one to run it.
All
back.
right, you got reason number one. We got Emily Kaplan coming up in Edmonton ahead of Game 4 tonight. Confirm or deny still to come. I was witnessing firsthand absolute lunacy on a kids' soccer group chat last night that I have to run this story past you guys. The world, man, it's just a weird place. It's a weird place. I'll run this little dilemma past you guys, and you both have kids, so you probably know exactly where it's going. Get to that a little bit later this afternoon. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. I nailed that read after yesterday's debacle.
Wow, that was a tough one yesterday. That show went off the rails after that.
Yeah, it wasn't good, man.
Tough.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good because, I was talking to someone about it this morning that, when the Leafs are in the playoffs, you're on a high. There's a lot of energy. You're talking about them all the time. They're going to win. They're going to lose. You're teeing up games. You're breaking down games. And even the first couple rounds of the playoffs are just a lot of fun. The Jets are playing, and Ottawa's in there, and you got Edmonton going. You
Let's
got all
be
these
real.
different
There's
things.
a lull cooking right now.
Yeah, and yesterday was, a week removed, and the Shanahan news was done, and all the players were gone, and it was a weird vibe. And the Jays were playing in the afternoon, and you're tracking that. And anyway, Jays back in action tonight. We got Game 4 of the Oilers and the Stars, and Emily Kaplan is out there. She'll join us here in a moment.
You want my first pitch?
Yes. Give us the pitch here. Give us the pitch on why the core four should return for another dance.
Guys, the one thing that you're forgetting is we need another chance with a healthy Stolarz. It hasn't been talked about enough. We had to go through the whole series without our starting goaltender, and it's just been dismissed. We deserve another shot because our number one guy wasn't in the cage for all 7. Let's do it.
Okay.
Hashtag run it back.
They didn't
it's
have
not
a
gonna
problem
sell me,
keeping the
but-
puck out of the net.
Noodles,
They didn't
we'll talk
score.
about it after we speak with Emily.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a compelling case. I don't think it's going to land, but it's an interesting first pitch, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Not going to land.
All right, Game 4 tonight. We've got Oilers, we've got Stars, and here's Emily Kaplan of ESPN who's out there. How much fun is this, Emily, watching McDavid and Draisaitl play every night?
Oh, it's such a treat. I take it for granted, right? Like, we live in an era where the hockey is better than ever. Like, the guys are so skilled and so fast. And I just remember Game 1, right? Like, they lost, but they were just buzzing at a different gear. And you just see the motivation. You see how badly they want it. And it just feels like a privilege just to get the vantage points. And I do, and the access that I do to get to talk to these guys.
Emily, what kind of mood is your colleague Ray Ferraro in these days? Is he happy and bubbly, or what kind of spirits is he in at this particular
This guy,
point of the season?
this guy.
Yeah.
He's the only one that I know of that got out in the one off day to go fly home to Vancouver. Apparently, Cammie runs a ship, get to mow the lawn, walk the dog, and got back here. So he was very refreshed this morning. I don't know if he did his own laundry, but he came with clean clothes, and that's always a good sign.
Yeah, we noticed that. We spoke with him yesterday, and he slid that in that he was in Vancouver. I think he was actually cleaning off his golf clubs because he said he's closing in on the end of the season. So that was actually
that's
why he went home.
Spend a day like golfing with his coworker here in beautiful Edmonton. That's another way to spend the day, but
There you
I
go.
digress.
That's very true, very true. And you're right, about the McDavid and Draisaitl kind of taking it for granted. And how well they're playing. But they're not alone. Like, Zach Hyman is a guy we're obviously very familiar with here in Toronto, and Toronto guy and played for the Leafs for a long time. The other night, he had 2 goals and 10 hits, like double-digit registered hits in the playoffs for a guy who scored twice, and 2 beauties, like high blocker on a breakaway, and then taps one out of midair on a 2-on-1 to basically turn the lights out from Evander Kane the other night. Watching Nat live, like how physical he is, how he skates, and then he has hands like he did. Pretty special player, and like basically the definition of a playoff player, the way that Zach Hyman's playing right now.
Yeah, I don't have to make any comparisons of, what would it be like if he was in Toronto? We can just focus on him where his feet are now. It's special. He's one of my favorite guys to talk to, too. He's so humble, right? Like, when you ask him about those hits, and it's really remarkable, right? Like, he's lapping the field, more than 100 hits so far in this playoff to lead the league. He's like, well, most of them were on the forecheck, and he's trying to, humble himself there. But I just think it's so unique, and just to see the buy-in from every other guy on this roster. And I think that that's the standard that Leon and Connor demand, right? Like, we know what it takes. We've been to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. You've got to ride this roller coaster. There's going to be lows. You can't dwell there. Like, come on, like, keep going. But also, you got to play on a high level to keep up with us. And we're going to need some depth production because it can't just be the 2 of us. And I think Hyman is a guy that is bought in as well as anybody. He's just such a delight again. as a personality, but also just in the way that he plays. It's such a good role model to younger players, too, of how you have to evolve your game and evolve your role to stay relevant and still do this at a high level.
So, Emily, all focus is on Edmonton, but it's such a swing game, either 3-1 or 2-2. What's Dallas saying, and what do they need to do to get back into this series to push it back to Dallas and regain home ice advantage?
Every time we've talked to Pete DeBoer, he keeps the same line, which is, I know we lost the last two, but I see our team getting better in each of these games as we go along. And I don't know if that's just to spin the narrative or actually what he sees, but we all saw last game, especially in the second period, where they're not going away. Like, they're getting a dominant number of chances, and they look really good. It's just those pucks aren't going in the net, and it's really tough when you're playing such a quick strike and opportunistic team like the Edmonton Oilers are, because, okay, all of a sudden, like, they score one goal, and then boom, 2, 3, 4, 5, and, you're off to the races. So, I was talking to Tyler Seguin today a bit, and he's been around forever, and he's like, look, I've been in so many of these situations and so many of these different type of playoff rounds where, we feel like we're playing well and just nothing goes in. They just have to stay the course. I think they feel good about the fact that Jake Ottinger, throughout his career, tends to get better as playoff series go along because they know that he hasn't been at the top of his game so far. So as long as they mentally stay there, I think they feel that they're right in this. It's just a matter of, okay, well, the other team's pretty good too, and they're continuing to make adjustments because that's all that Chris Knobloch does is just adjust and advance.
Emily, what's the deal with Rupe Hintz? Like, does he have a broken leg or foot, or is he going to play tonight? Like, what's the scoop with that guy? He's an important piece for Dallas.
Yeah, it feels like the slashes happened at, like, the one area where you just can't take it. It was right in the upper foot, lower leg area. I was really surprised when he came out for warm-ups and then he left early. You figure, okay, maybe he's just getting some treatment so he can play in the game. And the fact that he didn't go and suit up kind of shocked me because, we know these guys are gamers and, we know what they play through. Rupe Hintz himself has played through a broken foot at one point in his career in the playoffs. I think last game being an afternoon game was definitely helpful for some extra hours, maybe to get that swelling down, to heal a little bit. He practiced yesterday, and honestly, the way he was cutting and turning, like, he looked really good, and it was a lot more than we saw, from him in warm-ups where he wasn't quite doing that. Didn't skate today, so, maybe why risk it to aggravate it? He's going to go out there for warm-ups again, see how he feels. My gut says he's going to play, but we'll find out.
With Emily Kaplan of ESPN ahead of Game 4 tonight, Oilers Stars out in Edmonton. The story of Stuart Skinner is quite compelling, man. It has been a wild ride for him. He's still a very young player. Feels like he's been in the league for 15 years. The amount of times we've talked about him and the amount of great games he's played, and then poor games, and then he's on a heater, then he gets pulled, and Pickard goes in. And Pickard's going to return, we believe, tonight, and we'll back up. How do you cover the story of Stuart Skinner going into tonight and the rest of this series and possibly the Cup Final, considering how well he's playing right now, how well he's played the last 2 years against Dallas, but everything else that we also know about Stuart Skinner?
Yeah, well, isn't it incredible that we're now talking about the Oilers goaltending as a position of strength?
Right.
Like, they're benching a guy who's been undefeated in the playoffs. Like, how many teams have ever done that? I think with Stuart Skinner, he calls it a roller coaster all the time. And so you have to, go with him that it is a roller coaster. And when he got benched so early in that first round, I think that absolutely would have been gutting to most players in this league. But because of what he's been through throughout his career, because of the work that he puts in, like, this is a guy that's seen a sports psychologist since he was a teenager, reads all these books by a stoic. Like, he really has leaned into the mental game. I think that he used that and framed it as an opportunity to work with the goalie coach and hone in on some technical aspects of the game. As you guys know, in the playoffs, there's typically not that much practice time, so that was like a rare moment where he actually could, train and work on some things. And he came out of it so much stronger. And so I think right now, in terms of, like, covering it, you celebrate the success because it's such an amazing story. We can learn so many lessons from it. He's got such great perspective in the way that he speaks about those vulnerabilities open. At the same time, he's the one that calls it a roller coaster. And so it's going to be a roller coaster. And at some point, maybe it's going to give for him. And so you've got to, be aware of that. And then I think the next time he hits a low, know that, like, he's probably not going to stay there forever because he always finds a way to get himself out of it now.
So Carolina goes to the conference final all the time, and yet they won their first game in the conference final in like 20 years last night. And yet they played well. It was a tough hockey game to watch. It was a grinding, tough, not a ton of entertainment value
Low
hockey
event,
game.
we call it.
Yeah.
Low event. Perfect way to express and explain what happened
That's
last night.
the euphemism. Lovely.
Yes. So, I think most of all four of us, and I think everyone still believes this is Florida and it's over. But the idea that Carolina pushes it to 6 or beyond, how much benefit do you think Florida would get from ending this quicker as opposed to allowing Carolina getting off, the mat, so to speak?
Well, I think Florida would really benefit from ending it quickly, especially because, I don't know, I'm still gearing up for a long series here in the West, and they seem a bit banged up, right? Like, we don't know what's really going on with Reinhart, Nicklaus, AJ Greer's not going to play. Like, if you just give those guys up to 10, 11 days to not play hockey and not have to play the physical grind, you'd have to imagine that's a massive advantage. Plus, of course, what happened last year in the Stanley Cup Final where, okay, they allow one, game, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, is this the team that's capable of allowing a team to climb back in? My experiences with Florida, specifically this year, like, they're just so advanced mentally. Like, it's just such a disciplined and structured game of the way that they're able to toe the line of being a tough team to play against, but not allowing it to affect them. And so I feel like they always self-correct. Like, okay, maybe this is a wake-up call, a good opportunity, and they're going to go down there to Raleigh and just take care of business. At the same time, like, it just didn't look like the Canes team we're used to, right? Like, I covered them through the first 2 rounds at various points, and they were unrecognizable. So now that they're starting to find themselves, maybe it's a bit of confidence. Maybe Freddie just needs to sit for a bit to reset so he could regain that form. And Nikisha now feels like a weapon, right? Like, Rod was so scared to put him in because he didn't speak English. They're worried about communicating, and that kid looked pretty good to me last game. So I think we have a bit of a series now. I feel like the platitudes we were saying about Florida are probably too exaggerated, but they still feel like they're on a different gear and a different level than Carolina is.
Yep, they have been lights out for a while. That's for sure. We have a shot of Ray when everyone's jumping on the ice tonight because that was our favorite shot the other night. He looked so rattled for some reason. He had his hand on his hip.
It's like he's never been to a hockey game before, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we want more ISO cam of Ray. We need more Ray on ESPN tonight. Please do us that favor.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, like, make sure Ray gets his snacks and his waters. He gets cranky. But, no, I love this. I'm totally on the assignment.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks, Emily. Enjoy it tonight.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
There's Emily Kaplan. Look at Ray there.
Hand on his hip.
Yeah. Like, let's go.
Just go on the ice and get it. Like, I don't know. He just, I laughed to myself. It was the beginning of the game. Guys are skating onto the ice. And he was like, I am so mad. Everyone that knows Ray has seen him where he's just disgusted. Maybe it was just one of those things where he's looking away. Who knows? But it was so funny. I had to laugh to myself.
Well, I mean, that's the amazing thing. Like we asked Emily out of the gate, the luxury of being up close and personal and watching McDavid and Draisaitl. And Ray has been in the game for 40 years. Like he's seen everything where, do you know how many people would pay for that seat, like just to watch McDavid fly by? Yeah. You know how much money you could get in an auction, like a charity auction? Like, stand where Ray stands and watch McDavid do laps. People would pay thousands of dollars for that.
For sure.
And Ray's like, all right, let's go. Come on.
He's annoyed because I know he talked about it. His headset, the cord's only about 2.5 feet long, so it's short. So he's stuck in his headset, kind of leaning back against the wall. Like,
and
it
that's
is an awkward
position,
place.
Noodles. It doesn't for play. I mean, you go to all the building. That one doesn't exactly look inviting. You're basically on the Oilers bench.
It is. You are. And there's certain spots. Like Ray loves being between the benches. I like being between the benches in a safe spot. Like, Ottawa's got a nice safe spot there, even though I've been conked twice there. But if I was in that building, I'd be like, I'm upstairs. I don't want all that traffic. I don't need all the people. But Ray is right in the mix there. And same thing in Dallas. He's literally on the Stars bench. Like, the backup goalie, I think, sits right there. And you're, like, having to look and find sight lines. It's in certain buildings, I'm like, put me upstairs. I've got better views.
Yep.
He's right in the mix.
Oh, he loves it, man.
And he's great at it. It's
the trenches.
It is in the trenches because you can't tell a guy to sit down. Like, I don't know how many times, like, there's D that stand, like Thomas Chabot likes to stand like 30 seconds before he goes out. So I'm not going to knock on the glass, go, can you sit down? I'm trying to watch the play. Like, you got to watch your monitor and go around them. Like, that's the hazards of doing color when you're right in the mix, because certain guys have their routines, and you're not going to break them because you're trying to find a sight line. So it's pretty interesting stuff.
Some guys would have the audacity to be like, hey, sit down. And
Ray would.
Ray might. Ray, hey, sit down. I'm trying to call this.
Yeah.
Speaking of calling, did Jack Nicklaus get a call from Rory McIlroy about pulling the chute at the Memorial? We have an answer on that. We'll get into it. And, of course, we're continuing to look ahead to Game 4 tonight. And always on the clock up until 7 p.m., making pitches for bringing back the core four. Making the pitch.
I've got another one.
You've got another one? All right. We'll hear it. We'll get to it. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
right, Mike Johnson in about 15 minutes. Confirm or deny in about 40 minutes. It is a big golf week this week. The Memorial down in Ohio. Jack Nicklaus. Beautiful course. Always plays really tough and always gets a great field. It's an elevated event, right? Tigers, the Genesis, Arnold Palmer, and Jack Nicklaus. Every single year, those guys' tournaments are going to be huge and have a massive amount of money on the line. And generally, everyone plays in it. And especially for Nicklaus, right? Like Nicklaus generally is a guy where players are like, I got to kind of be there for the most part. Anyway, not for everybody, but for the most part. And as we know, McIlroy will be at the RBC Canadian Open next week. So McIlroy is like, I'm gearing up next week, and then you got the U.S. Open the week after that. So Nicklaus, Jack Nicklaus, did his press conference today from Muirfield Village, and he was asked about the Rory situation. You guys want to hear this?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Aware until basically the rest of us that Rory wasn't coming?
I was sort of aware of it about the middle of last week.
And so it sort of surprises you, I guess, that he's not?
Yeah, it surprised me, but, you know, guys have got schedules and got things they do, and, you know, I haven't talked to him for him to tell me why or why not. You know, that's just his call. I made a lot of calls that I had to make when I played to play or not play, and sometimes it wasn't as popular as the people thought it was. But you know, sometimes you have to make those calls. I don't hold anything against Rory for that. He did what he likes to play. I know he likes to play so many in a row. He likes to play the week before a U.S. Open, and so that's what he's doing. So, you know. I really don't have a comment on it. It's very difficult, very difficult. I mean, I'm a big Rory fan, always have been, and I'm sure that will remain that way.
Classy answer, man.
Yeah.
It's
like
big when
Rory,
McIlroy.
What's crazy is Rory apparently called this guy to pick his brain about the do's and don'ts of Augusta and like a kind of refresher on the way Jack played the course and like. So you go through all that, and you don't have the decency to at least place a call and call the guy and say, look, man, I'm committed to the Canadian Open. I'd like to play the week before. I just can't do it, and I can't show up. Like, you can't call the guy?
That, I think, is where Rory's taken some heat. Again, it's, you know, we were talking about giants of the industry, giants of the sports world. Like, Nicklaus is so classy.
Yes.
And, you know, that's an incredible answer. Like, I made decisions that were tough. I know, blah, blah, blah. I'm a big McIlroy fan. But it's his tournament, and McIlroy's McIlroy, and he's not
I love
there.
that fact that Jack said that, though. He goes, you know what? Basically what he was saying was I pulled the pin on some things, too, when people weren't happy about it.
Yep.
So this stuff happens in pro golf.
For sure.
But
sure.
he basically was saying that does happen, but I think you can just tell by his gestures and the expressions – a phone call would have been a little bit helpful with the relationship that we have.
Yes.
Agreed.
Exactly. And we'll hear from McIlroy, interestingly enough, next week up at TPC Toronto. That's the next time we're going to see him and hear from him. And I guarantee you he's going to be asked, you know, how do you respond to Nicklaus and all that? But this is the beauty of a guy like him. You know, he picks his schedule. He's entitled to that. He's missed elevated events. I don't believe he played at Harbour Town. He doesn't play in Hawaii to start the year.
Yeah,
but dude, this might be a decoy so he doesn't have to answer the questions about his driver because he did not speak at the last major for 4 days in a row after his driver was tested and taken out of his bag.
Yeah, and I get the impression that that's why he didn't speak, because he was bent out of shape that his name got out when it's not supposed to. Right? Apparently that happens a lot. Like they test randomly like a third of the field. And I think it was Schauffele that said, actually, Scheffler's had an issues too or something like that, and no one said anything to him, and it didn't go public. But I think McIlroy was like, why is my name out there? Like, why is this being, you know, tagged on me? But I think he might be onto something, yet I'm sure he's figured it out by now, and, you know, he's going to have the right – he'll have a QI 35 in the bag next week, I guarantee it. And I am mashing that, just for the record.
Oh, yeah?
Me and Rory, I am mashing the QI 35.
Dude, it's
I
a
love
sick
it.
driver,
It's my favorite driver, man. It's so good. All right, hour 2 coming up. Mike Johnson will join us. Confirm or deny coming up as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We got Mike Johnson coming up here this hour, confirm or deny a little bit later in the hour. I've got to tell you guys about what I witnessed on a group chat last night.
I can imagine what it is.
It is, it's quite something. It's very, I think every parent will understand where
Just
maybe both sides are coming from.
You can't leave us hanging now. What is it?
So, my youngest started playing soccer, right? We're only a couple weeks into this. And you guys know how it works when you have young kids.
How old?
6 years old.
Yeah.
The snack schedule is a massive priority, right?
Yep.
And everyone gets allotted a week, and it's your responsibility to bring a snack for after the game, right? Big stuff. Remember when we were
talking
kids?
Granola bars and oranges.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Remember when we were kids, you get orange slices. That's
it.
That's what you got in a bag. I remember a plastic bag, and someone would throw it on the grass and be like, "Go ahead, you can have that." There's nothing
and
more.
Then
I don't remember my
if you
parents
were
ever
lucky,
bringing anything.
your parents might bring you to Subway after the game.
Maybe
if you're lucky.
you'd go get something. Like maybe a Dairy Queen at the height of summer or something like that. But it would be orange slices in a Kmart bag thrown on the field, being like, go ahead, that's what you get. So now it's every parent has a week. Someone's got to bring it, whatever. Well, the parent forgot last night.
Oh, no.
So what happens on the way home? In the team group chat, another parent puts him on blast for not bringing the snack and reminds everyone how important the snacks are.
Oh.
And the kids are really not handling it well. And then that parent's got to come back with I didn't realize and totally forgot. And then other people are getting in. And I'm watching this thinking, this is lunacy. This is a 6-year-old soccer snack schedule group chat where now people are coming basically to blows verbally online. And how awkward is this going to be next week when we have to show up and play again? And people are going to connect and be like, sorry, was it you that was blasting me on the group chat?
Well, the person who forgot it should come with like a 4-course steak meal. Like, just be a jackass about it. Show up with like a food truck.
That would be hysterical.
Rent a food truck.
Rent a food truck with the bell and the horns and clowns.
Forgot. Yeah, exactly. Like,
but why does the person that's complaining have to be such a jerk? Like, there's no harm. There's no foul. Nobody died. Nobody's starving.
Right.
It's like, wow, it's too bad you forgot. That's it, and you move on.
It's
I
not
would
worthy
absolutely.
of anything.
I would lambaste the person that complained. Oh, my kid really needs that orange slice and granola bar. Just, you're off the team. Sorry.
It might actually be means for a cut in-house league soccer because it was awkward for everyone. You can tell everyone's reading it, but like, this is really weird that we're complaining about snack.
The guy could have pulled a move, though, a legendary move. Say, guys, I forgot, but meet me at the Dairy Queen around the corner on me. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But for somebody to complain, they should be removed from the team because if they're going to complain about that, there's more down the road. It just never ends.
That's my concern. What's coming next? What's coming next? Because
well, what are you talking about? You're bringing this to air. She's going to walk right up to you
I'm
and
in
be
huge
in your
trouble. I'm getting scissor kicked the next time I walk.
No, you're
going to
go in that group chat and be like, "How dare you bring it up on national TV and live on YouTube?"
It's everywhere now, man. There's no It's at 5 o'clock too. Like, this is prime time, man. I didn't sneak this in at the end of the show. This is getting around.
This is fine.
But I couldn't believe it. And my wife and I were talking. We're like, I can't not believe what I'm witnessing here. These are adults losing it over a snack that was forgotten.
There only should have been one thing. As soon as she wrote in to whatever the mild complaint or whatever it was, someone should have just wrote, "Get over it." End of story.
Yeah, I know, but then
because that's the only thing to say. Just get over it and move on.
Yeah.
Because if you give it some air and some life, they just take it to the next level.
Yep.
It's just like. That's what you have to ask. Are you really that offended? Does your kid care that much?
Just
get over it.
It's neighborhood kids walking home and their snacks at home. I'm certain that there's snacks at home.
It wasn't a soccer camp that ran 8 hours. Like, it was a 1-hour game.
Local park. They're running around for half an hour doing cartwheels and going home.
I think you got to stand up and say,
You got to tell the complainer to stuff it. One more comment.
You
You're
need
off
to
the team.
relax now, because I'll drag you out here and you could do it. I'm not doing anything, but I'm going to bring it.
You know when you write back and say,
aggressive.
Why don't you go in the group? Well, you want to hear some nightmare fuel? Go on the group chat and said, adding one more, and it's me.
Jeff O'Neill says, stuff it.
Yeah. I found a trainer for the team. I'm adding him in. And it's you.
And you just start.
O-Dog added to the group chat.
Yeah.
Fire away, peeps. You want to complain about no oranges for your kid? Sorry. There's too many other problems in the world.
Way too
many.
Way too many. It was a great night. Beautiful weather. Come on now. All right, Johnny's coming up here in a moment. I feel like we need to let him know that the O-Dog has basically got Darth Vader on us. Yeah, this is like, Anakin Skywalker at 4 o'clock, and now you're Darth Vader.
Don't go in too deep. Bring him in here. I want to invite him into my world. See if he's in.
Okay. Do we have Johnny on the line?
Yeah,
I believe we do. All right. Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst. Johnny, brace yourself. Brace yourself. Okay. Darth Vader wants to say something to you. Go ahead,
Johnny. I've got a potential topic, and I want to see if you'll jump on board with a little secret society group that I'm creating, and it's called the Run It Back Group. Is there anything that I can tell you to make you join Team Run It Back, or are you completely done?
Well, it's not much of a secret society if we're asking about it, but other than that, I could, yes, of course you could. It's not even a hard sell. It's depending on the contractual situations that you're going to offer up due to this membership of this very exclusive group.
I just have to, I got to say, I was joking, and you make me sick that you're on board with this.
I don't think you are joking. Yeah. I don't think you are. I know Johnny's not.
Tell me this.
Well, Johnny, let me first tell you where this originated from. I just get the sense in this market where it takes about this amount of time, which is approximately 10 days, for the Run It Back group to come alive. It's like a Michael Jackson Thriller video. They come out of the ground and they're like, it's okay. There's nothing. Like it's crazy how they want to get rid of everybody. And then 10 days later, it's like, let's just run it back. Temperature drops, move on to other things, sort of become disinterested, maybe have a little perspective. But, if you were to tell me, okay, let's say John Tavares, I'm going to come back for 2 years at $4 million. Okay, so he's no longer core 4. He's just your third-line center. And if Mitch Marner says, okay, I'll do 7 years and 10-5. Yeah, but Johnny, let me just interrupt with the Tavares.
He's not taking less than 10.
Hang on a second here. This has gone now. This is
serious.
Stupid. This is the oranges chat.
You're the one who came up with the secret society. I thought we were writing deals.
Well,
I know,
true.
but when it comes to Tavares, like people are attaching a dollar value to him, where it's just you have to do it at that number. But come playoff time, he's still got to go out on the ice and perform. Like that. What happens if he gets matched up against Lundell next year? He'll just get chewed up alive at 35 years old.
He won't have to, because Lundell's going to be a second-line center because Sam Bennett's going to leave, and he's going to get whoever that third-line center is, and he can handle whoever, some random, minimum guy.
But can he? We all think that.
Well, he can with the money you're going to spend on the rest of the roster, because you're going to save $7 million a year on him.
But what if the team you're playing against, that third-line center, is a bastard to play against?
Well, then, okay. Well, the point is, how are you going to? What's the alternative? You let him walk. Totally understand. Understand. I'm just. You let him walk. So now you're going to fill your second and third-line center job for approximately $12 million. How is that going to happen? So I'm not saying it's the perfect solution, but it might be the best one you have available that's sort of feasible that you could maybe work out. That's the reality. What we want to happen, what we think should happen, might not equate to what can actually happen. And that is, you can go get Matt Duchene. No, he's not going to come here. But, Michael Granlund to be your second-line center, and Tavares. These are the options you have. Brock Nelson, who's 34, and you're going to give him 6 or 7 years to be your second-line center. And I like Brock Nelson. I don't know if that's a better alternative. There's not a lot of other guys out there. So, I'm on team, no, change is necessary. But if you start evaluating the market and what's out there, especially with Tavares, and he's willing to take a deal that's well below his market value because he wants to stay in this market, he specifically would be someone you think about just third-line centerman. He wins 60% of his faceoffs. Like, you're not counting on, I know Florida does, but generally speaking, you don't count on your third-line center to get more than maybe 20 goals and maybe 45 points. He would obviously vastly outproduce that, and maybe even in the playoffs, he gets half a point a game, would vastly outproduce usual third-line centerman. You got to, like, adjust what we think he is to what he actually would be, which would be a depth contributor, which he probably would be pretty good at for a couple of years. Now, I don't want to give him 4 years or 5 years because he's not going to be as good 4 years, 5 years now, but if you can get it short, I think that's a conversation you got to have.
Well, I think the way you're saying that is the way I could see Brad Treliving saying it or seeing it, and I think why stop there?
Then you would just accurate.
Well, and then you just continue with Marner because ultimately what would end up happening, what has happened here the last 3 or 4 years, and I think in the end is what got Shanahan, is it wasn't an obsession to win, it was being terrified of losing, and if you're terrified of losing, you keep these guys.
That is very liberal use of language to suggest that Brendan Shanahan was not obsessed to win, and he was scared of losing. Then
why did they just keep bringing him back then? What's your explanation?
Because he believed differently than you. That's why, flat out. Now he was wrong, but and that's fair to say. He was wrong to believe that this core with this group at this time would be good enough to do it. He was wrong. But to suggest he did it because he was, he's like happy to be a 100-point team and not worried about getting a third round. That's not who these guys are. That's not who he is.
Really? Really, Johnny? We think everyone's uber obsessed and crazy. I don't. I mean, paint me cynical, but I'm not.
So you don't think that multiple-time Stanley Cup champion, Hall of Famer, who took this job in his hometown, was obsessed with trying to win?
I think he desperately wanted to win. I think he desperately wanted to win.
Okay, so what are you talking about?
I think he loved his job, too. I think a lot of people love their jobs. Sure. We say it all the time. Guys are always like, oh, just trade those picks. I'll be gone by the time. Like, guys think about their keeping the job. Like, guys do that happens sometimes. Like, we cannot be, you cannot be that naive.
You can't be naive. No.
Yes, to think that, everyone in the league is just so upset, and I'm willing to gamble with my whole life and career to go for it, or I can take this route, and I have a great life for the next decade. Really? I don't think so, man. Yeah, I don't think that's – and I'm not saying that's 100% the case with Shanahan. And again, I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying in a way. It's the idea that if Marner leaves and Tavares leaves, that's terrifying because they might get significantly worse and miss. And I don't know if I want to live in that world. But the opposite is I got to let them go because I got to try the other one because I got to try to win. Right, I'm not saying it necessarily in the insulting manner in which maybe you're interpreting it, but I think that may happen this time because these guys are really good players, really good regular season players. They'll make the playoffs. And
I mean, I think how I would phrase it would be, the comfort or confidence in knowing you're going to be good with a good chance versus the unknown of what your chance might look like if you make those changes.
Sure.
And
that's softer language.
What could be worse, though, than continuing to lose? I'll take the unknown every time after what's gone on. That's the way I look at it. It's like, how could it be worse? Like, you're not going to miss the playoffs. Is that the nuclear option? Yes, but I don't know. I'll try something different as opposed to.
But I think as they continue to tinker over the last several years, and maybe where this summer is different, is that. One, the contracts they were under, so they to move off these guys was harder because they had no trade protections or whatever it might be. They didn't have the ease of movement that they have this summer, and they also maybe believed that the rest of the roster was more flawed than just these guys, and they thought they could somehow, with this group of high-paid players, they could fill out the rest, and they did. They did fill out the rest, but in the end, it wasn't enough, which is why I think it would be different this year, which is why I think Mitch Marner will very likely not be back here, and I think they might be okay with the fact he forced his hand. Now Hayes might be upset because they didn't force Mitch's hand, saying, "Listen, we're just not having you back," as opposed to trying to sign him in February and then being whatever happened there. But I think for the whole group, run it back. Probably not ideal, and I don't think anyone wants that. But I think maybe for Tavares specifically, given the contract and everything else, that does seem more feasible. And I don't know if just bringing not Mitch back is enough of a culture change. I think it might be, though. I do think it's pretty significant what he was in that room and what he was in this market. it would change the dynamic pretty significantly. Not because Mitch is a bad guy, I'm not saying that, but just because it's going to be really, really different. And you can get an $8 million player and a $5 million player for him that can be completely different kinds of players. You get Brad Marchand and Sam Bennett for that same 13.5 you're going to give Mitch. If you could, that would be enough with one of the two departing to make your team different.
Yeah, and you know what? This might be a moot point where Mitch Marner has made up his decision and is leaving. Like, regardless if you want to keep him or not, he has the right to walk on July 1st. And if they do get John Tavares on a value contract and Mitch walks, the team does look different. There's no core four anymore. It's the core two and John Tavares, who, like you mentioned, is on a value contract.
Matthew Knies is ahead of John Tavares in the pecking order.
Agreed. Right? And here's the other thing. This is what I think we might have to get away from. I think the crop of the unrestricted free agents is not as deep as we would want it.
No.
So that now you start getting creative and looking at trades.
Jamie.
Exactly. Like I'm looking at, again, this is wish list. It's Nazem Kadri, but maybe it's Braden Shen. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe, you're calling Doug Armstrong and saying, what are you doing with your organization? You might be looking to get younger. Like that's the type of stuff you get creative. Again, do you have the currency?
Get offer sheet. You need your own pick.
You need to offer.
I like that.
I agree. I think you need to be creative, but this is where Johnny, and I'm going to put it back to you, this is where Brad Treliving, if he doesn't have Brendan Shanahan's vision, if they weren't aligned going into last season, now it's Brendan Shanahan's show. I'm sorry, it's Brad Treliving's show, and he can go, if he wanted to move off Mitch Marner last year, or if he wanted to get creative, but he couldn't do that because his hands were tied behind his back because you got to run it up the chain. If he has the keys to the kingdom, Brad Treliving will build the team that he wants. And he might have that flexibility just because Mitch Marner walks. And now you start to get creative. And that's where it'll be interesting to see what he does with all of that.
Yep. Yes. I mean, and talking about, just for offer sheets, what was Dylan Holloway's contract? Is it like 2.8?
2.8.
That's like a second and a third. You go find a guy like that for your second and a third, you can do some things. So you're right, Noodles. If they weren't in complete alignment, and plus Tree was new enough that he's like, I guess, do I know enough about this group to decide definitively that it's not a good idea? But now he knows, and now it's going to happen regardless. So, that's. I think that's the road they go down. The only other thing, guys, I want to pull you guys. Oh, you're the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mitch Marner's like, I'm not signing back, but I want to sign and trade. You get me 8 years, you trade me to Utah, and you get a third rounder. Like, what is the return for a sign and trade? Like a third rounder, a prospect, like nothing really great. Do you do that?
No, I tell him to stuff it.
Well, no, I would do it because you know what?
Why not just take anything you can get?
Let's get creative. What if that trade is to Vegas and Vegas has to dump salary?
Well, for Mark Stone.
Exactly. Like you start looking at, exactly. So it's not just a seventh rounder or, Joe from the Bridge jokes. It's a 12th rounder. It's you got to take some salary, but that might be a good $5 million player that you could bring back. Like something like that, as you talk about
you get
rounding
William Karlsson out of Vegas for $5 million, who is a really good player.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm saying you start to get creative and go, you want this player? I'll give him 8 years at whatever you're willing to pay, but I want that player in return because you're going to have to dump out. You're throwing guys overboard anyways.
Right.
That's where you get creative.
See, guys, it's all about creativity. It's just not about yelling. It's not like the Oranges situation in Whitby where you just have to be a jerk. We're talking this thing through.
I like it. I think we've established a lot.
Communication is key. That's why we have a good relationship, guys.
Yes.
That's why it works.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Everything's about communication. That's the business we're in. And I think we've accomplished that this hour. I love it. All right, sign and trade to Vegas for William Karlsson. That's going to be the headline of this hour when we post it online.
I've heard way worse ideas to start this interview, so not so bad.
Yes.
Good conclusion.
Valid. I you know what, though? Truthfully, I wonder if Vegas would also look at Mitch, and any player for that matter, not just Marner, and say, we're Vegas. We don't really need to give you an 8th year. Like, if you want to come here, you can come here, but it'll be on our terms. Like that. That is one thing I am curious about. Like, the Leafs have done everything to make all these players feel so great, and they've given in on everything. There may be a reality out there where some teams are like, oh, we're not doing that.
Well, Vegas hasn't gone on a run for a couple of years, so
what if it's 8?
You wonder where they're only.
What if it's 8
they're
at
so
10?
used to it.
What if it's 8 at 10?
Heads will explode around here, man. They will explode. If that cap hit goes backwards, it will be wild. wild scene. All right, Johnny.
All right,
you're back home or what? Are you still overseas?
I'm back in Toronto. No, I'm back in Toronto now. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm ready to go to bed.
All right. We'll catch up later in the week. We'll talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs next time we talk to you.
Yeah.
Sounds good, guys.
All right. There's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. All right. Anyone else from TSN we have?
Well, I'm just saying.
Going to come on and we're just
yelling and screaming
with all the boys this week.
That's why I would be shocked if Brad Treliving said anything like on Thursday definitive. He just now potentially, again, if he just had the meeting with Keith Pelly, he would have just been handed the keys to the kingdom a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to get grounded. The last thing you're going to go, okay, in the media on Thursday morning when CJ asks him, like, yes, I'm definitively doing this. It's like, I'm now going to sit back and assess everything and bully forward here, and I've got a month and a bit to do it. So I and be ultra creative because he doesn't want to take a step back. And again, with respect to Mitch Marner, that's a 100-point player. Like you're gonna, if he's walking, you've got to replace that player, and also keep your captain happy. Keep in mind, 34 have been getting unbelievable passes from this guy for 9 years.
Yeah,
that's another thing you got to think of.
It's an interesting thing, like because ultimately the dust will settle on him, and everyone will reset, and you want Matthews to be at his best, and yet. There may be a challenge directed towards him from the team too. Like,
sure.
Hey, you got to be better, man. Like that, sure, Mitch isn't here, but you're still getting paid a lot of money. You're the captain.
Yeah.
Like okay, go find your goals somewhere else and do different things. And we get to the playoffs, you got to play big.
Agreed.
Like that's the truth. Like, again, I think. I can't speak for how the team would necessarily address this, but I think from the outside, a lot of people are looking at this like it's time for the players to repay the team, and the fans and all that. Like we even use the term and we hear the term, well, the cup window, you got to take advantage. And Matthews, it's like, well, they've been trying for 9 years, and there was a window last Sunday, Game 7. Where were they?
Yeah.
They didn't get it done. They could have played better and won those games, and then there you go. You're in the window.
That's another thing that's not really discussed. Like, these guys have the biggest window of all time in pro sports. Some teams get, their teams get good, and then they're like, the way certain people view it, they're like, there's a 2 or 3 window here where they can possibly win a championship.
Oh.
9 going on.
Years.
I mean, and Hayes, I think the biggest thing I learned when this all went down, what was it, last Monday or Tuesday or whatever it was, when you broke it up into 3-year increments in the 9 years, that was something I thought that was brilliant because I hadn't thought about it that way. The first 3 years you look at it, hey, it's learning curve, young, all of that.
Dude,
but
what are you, this guy's agent? You talked about his hit on Jay last night like it was the greatest thing I've ever heard. And then
Noodles
this stuff about this.
I am
the
Arliss.
3-year increments is so
no,
brilliant.
But it was a great point. I'm sorry. Like you're looking at
tire pump every once in a while?
No, but that's
fire off a tire pump.
It's too much.
The 3 years, that's where you talk about window. We're talking Columbus, Montreal squeaked in the playoffs up 3-1. Like that's where you crapped it off, there.
That Montreal team was so trash during that regular season. They barely got in.
Wasn't that the Canadian division? Like it was,
someone had to get in.
It was tough.
Basically.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. The Leafs were miles in front of everyone else. And Edmonton played Winnipeg, and the Leafs played the Habs, and they're up 3-1 in that series. We don't have to continue to relive it, but
I think yesterday was either yesterday or today is the anniversary of one of the games. It was I think it was Game 6.
Was that the Kotkaniemi goal? Or was
it was the 2-0 where Galchenyuk just threw a
pizza delivered right up the middle. The Cole Caulfield and Nix
Joe from the Bridge, pull that up. It's insanity, that play. That
what
play
was he thinking at the blue line? Like,
I don't
Just
know.
get all of them. Get a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, let's run the tape.
Did you get the Dermott turnover in Montreal, and then Jack Campbell didn't have his glove or blocker on with Kotkaniemi?
There was some insanity. There was insanity, but that one, like that turnover, and it's a 2-on-0. If you watch it, I actually watched it today. They are moving like Suzuki slows down. It is a 2-on-0 from the far blue line, and they are going half speed. Like it is, and it's just back and forth. And then just one timer in the net, and that was Game 6, right? I think they and then Game 7 they lost. So that was just a weird.
Well, no, because Game 6 was in Montreal. That was a Kotkaniemi goal. That was Game 5, I believe.
Sorry, Game 5. Then it was just a weird.
Yeah.
I just remember
and no one in the building. It was really surreal.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Confirm or deny coming up. We've got Panger coming up. I've got a few more likely to happens that we can roll into as well. Later this afternoon, Jays back in action. Knicks, Pacers, Oklahoma City up 3-1 in their series. That was a great game last night. But the Thunder, I think they're just going to destroy many in Game 5. Like, destroy them. And Shea and the boys will be off to the NBA Finals. So more on that a little bit later in the afternoon as well. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Boston trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm or deny. We all know the way this is going to work. We're going to make statements, and we're either going to confirm them or we're going to deny them. Noodles is off doing some panel work. He'll be back in about a half an hour. Darren Pang coming up as well on Game 4, Oilers-Stars tonight. Get his take on what happened in Carolina last night, or in Florida last night. But the Panthers, they had been red hot. They didn't have a lot last night. Like, they really did not have a lot in the tank last night. But I think you got to credit Carolina. You know, Rod Brindamore was putting them on blast, and they had been getting embarrassed, and they showed up last night. They played well. They ended up winning that game.
Pretty crazy how it's like when it's 3-0, it's doom and gloom, but it sounds stupid, but you get it to 3-1, and then it ain't 3-0 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, I got to win one to get their attention. Same as the Ottawa Senators. They won one, and it's like, we win one more, we'll get somebody's attention. And that's what they did.
Yep, that's exactly what they did. Confirm and deny, Carolina can still make this a series.
I'm going to deny it. Just the way Florida responds, and I really don't care who comes back in the lineup, who's healthy or who plays. It would be so Florida Panther-like to just go in there and win 3-0 and have a low-event game, physical game, and just Tkachuk and Bennett will show up, or they're just their usual suspects. Seth Jones on the back end will have a monster night. It would be so Panther-like to go in there in a dominating fashion when you think Carolina would have a bit of mojo, and they would just squash them.
I'm going to deny it for the same reason. I just think, Carolina, they had to find a way to win one because of that record, right? Like, you keep losing games in the conference final. You cannot get swept again. And in the fashion that you played the first 3 games, like, you just got smoked, man. Like, they had to show up last night. They had to have a game. They did that. I think that's enough to allow them to breathe. Maybe they can get one more, but a series would suggest to me, like, basically you got to push it to 7 now, and I just don't see that happening because of Florida and the way that Florida plays. And, we were talking yesterday about Paul Maurice and just having everyone right in the palm of his hand. And he did it again last night with his sarcastic comments about Bob giving up the 2 goals, even though they were empty netters.
He wasn't even in the net, and then he was like, I haven't been so hard on the Carolina Hurricanes as much as you fine people have been. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
What is he doing down there, Paul Maurice, man?
Yeah, he's gone too far. Like, he knows what his capabilities are, and he's gone too far with it. Like,
well, he's had the spotlight now for 3 years. You go to the Cup Final 2 years in a row, you win one, and you're on the verge of doing it again. Everything's Paul Maurice all the time. Like, people want to hear from him, and he's going to give him a quote. And
well, you can shotgun a beer or you can go to church. That's kind of like our team. We can do either.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
That one,
man?
he was trying to he tried to find it, and he's like, I don't have it, and now I don't know where I'm going. And now I'm asking people if they know how to shotgun a beer.
And he pulled out a turd on that one.
Yeah.
Like, that was
a weird one.
It was a weird one.
But last night, again, credit to Carolina, but I still think Florida, I could see them doing exactly what you just suggested. They go in there Game 5 and say, nope, not happening tonight, guys. Confirm or deny, both Aaron Ekblad and Sam Bennett will re-sign in Florida. Both of them.
I'm going to go 75% on both of them.
So what is that, a confirm or a deny? I mean, that's a Fergie, man. That's kind of a Fergie. 75% on both.
I just
I'm not sure what that means.
had a brain fart on that one.
Yeah.
I can't fully confirm because, okay, I'm going to deny it. I think the Florida says the dream's over as far as keeping everybody. And I actually don't even think it would be that bad of a thing for them to move off of one of the players because you got to keep freshening things up and doing it differently. Like, I think if you look at Chicago, their team was different when the cups that they won. They had to keep evolving and do it different and get different players, and it might be a good thing. So the 2 of them, I'm going to say no.
But the thing is, you look at the situation they've created down there. It's Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's an incredible team, and you're going to have more chances to win in the next 5 years. What player would want to exit that unless they're strictly just saying, my ego is telling me I want people to bid the highest and I'm going to the highest bidder. That could be a case, but I really can't see it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these players, they're making huge cake on their second deal where they're in a comfort zone where they're like, do I really need to go after that? You know what I mean? Like a 6-year, $6 million deal as your second contract. Are you really saying I got to cash out here? I don't know.
Yeah, here's another element to it that I don't know if we're considering is that Florida and their front office have proven they're the smartest, savviest, best front office in the league. They may let one of them or both of them walk because they don't want to be tied for 6, 7, 8 years to them.
Yeah.
Which, again, is ruthless, but that's what they've proven they are.
Yeah.
Like Bill
and you
Zito.
watch, they'll bring in other players.
Exactly.
They'll be like, Ekblad, you want to screw around? We got Seth Jones. Like, we're fine.
That's why they got him. And like, Forsing's not going anywhere. Mikko's not going anywhere. So at a minimum, now I will say that there could be a Tampa connection with McDonough where they moved off McDonough, and then a year or two later, they're like, we got to get him back. Like, that might be something that happens with Ekblad where they move off him and realize, man, we shouldn't have done that. But I think the likelihood of both of them getting they're both going to command a lot of money and deserve a lot of money. They're both really good players. Yes, Florida does really well with their cap. Yes, they get guys to buy in and take a little bit less, but they still pay people. There still is a finite cap.
Yeah.
Everyone can't make $8 million or $8.5 million or $9 million. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to deny it as well, and maybe not as much because the players are like, we want all the money in the world and we're leaving. It might be because Zito in Florida says, you know what, I don't want to be attached to that guy for 8 years.
Yeah. We just won 2 cups back-to-back, and we're going to just try to do it a little bit different.
Right. Because, like, the luxury they have is, let's say both those guys leave. Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Tkachuk, Lundell, Luosterainen. They're all still there. Like, they're all still there. And then on the back end, Forsling, Mikkola, Jones, and Bob's got, I believe, at least another year left.
Yeah.
So
maybe they think Lundell's actually a second-line center, which there is an argument to be had.
He plays like it.
Yeah.
He looks like he's real close to it, you know, like that. And that's the truth. And maybe they feel like they can go out and get a third-line guy, whoever that might be, and, just keep plugging along. Confirm or deny, the Maple Leafs should be all in on Brad Marchand on July 1st.
All in on Brad Marchand at 37 years old.
Yep.
Yes, I confirm it. Why not?
I confirm it 100%, 110%.
I was thinking about that. Like, you got to get somebody with, like, and this has been the same thing for 9 years, that's just a little edgy, that might not get along with everybody that well. He's just got an edge to him. Like, if you look at that Evander Kane, I'm pretty sure not everyone's his best friend. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem like a lovey-dovey guy where every morning it's good morning. And, you know, I don't know about the Rolls-Royce every game and all that other stuff. But you know what? He just got an edge to him, and he goes out and he's a different player. And he just – and I think you need that. Like, I'm pretty sure McDavid and Draisaitl appreciate having Evander Kane around because he probably says some things that needed to be said that they don't want to say. Like, it's just – I don't know. You have a bunch of nice guys around. It just – you know what the results that a bunch of nice guys provide.
Absolutely.
0.
No, I'm 100% confirmed. And not only that, I'm doing everything I can to bring him here. I'm strapping an A on his jersey immediately. And I think you need a guy like Marchand who's different, who's got a totally different personality and vibe. And they've decided, the Maple Leafs in the past, to bring in the veteran guy that hasn't won yet, as opposed to the guy who has won for the most part. The Marlows, the Thorntons, the Spezzas, you know, it's been like the guy who's craving it but doesn't really know how to do it, but he's going to help them. Like, and they, you know, in retrospect, they got it wrong. Where they should have signed Corey Perry when by all accounts he wanted to be here. He's a winner. He's won cups.
Dude,
he
that
goes
guy
to
couldn't
cup
find
finals.
a job like 7 years ago, 6 years ago.
And all he does is keep playing and now it's too late now probably. And Marchand, I know that'll be the argument. Well, he's not young. He's not, and it might cost you a couple of years at whatever. But he's actually won. He knows how to win, and he brings a completely different attitude.
Dude,
to
that
the
Corey
team.
Perry, Brian's 40 years old. He might sign a 2-year extension in Edmonton, man.
He might.
You know that those two guys are saying you better have him back here.
Yeah, because he plays every night. He knows how to play. He knows how to win. He knows how to agitate. He literally has a cup ring. It's a different vibe, man. It's a totally
he straight
different
up gets it
attitude.
done.
Yes, exactly. Confirm or deny, Aaron Judge is underpaid at $40 million per season.
Get serious with this nonsense. No one's underpaid at $40 million. Like,
He
there's
is.
no...
He is. He is, dude. He is. That's Vladdy Guerrero Jr. money now. Borderline. Do you know how much better Aaron Judge is than Vladdy?
Okay,
than
then if
anybody
you
else?
put it that way, you got me. You had me.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, now guys are getting. It's like Vladdy and like Soto's
I get
making.
it though. There's a guy driving in his car right now.
I
that's
know
just
that.
got a muffler falling off and his pants are ripped, and he's like underpaid at $40 million.
I get it. It's relative. I understand that. I know it, but we're talking sports. We're talking baseball, and like Judge. He's got an OPS of almost 1,300. He's hitting basically 400. The guy's going to hit 60 home runs again. He's going to drag. Like, go look at their lineup. Like, Garrett Cole's out. Soto left. They're going to win they're probably going to run away with the AL East, and it feels like Judge is just going to drag them there. Like, he's already worth like 4.5, almost 5 wins above replacement. Like, the guy he's getting better. It's incredible. And yes, it sounds insane to say that $40 million is underpaid, but Vladdy that's Vladdy money, man. Like Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Aaron Judge are in the same
deal?
tax
like
bracket.
500-600.
He signed a 9-year, $40 million for $360 total. I think it was.
Oh my God!
But that's what I'm saying. $360 total.
Yeah, imagine if it was 2 years later after like a 60. Like he would be. Yeah,
if
he was
the
in the
original
class,
Ohtani deal.
Yes.
Would have been $700 million or something. Like, he's getting less than half of Soto. Yes, Soto was younger. You know, Soto decided to leave. Judge didn't. But, man. All right, confirm or deny. There is no clear-cut Conn Smythe favorite on the Florida Panthers. Do you have a clear-cut Conn Smythe favorite in Florida right now?
Yeah, it's Sam Bennett. Confirm it. I'll confirm It's Sam Bennett. Isn't he leading all the playoffs in scoring?
He is. Yeah, well, no, now it's like McDavid and all, but he's leading them in scoring.
Yeah.
He has been leading the Florida
If you're
Panthers
talking Florida Panthers, Conn Smythe, it's Sam Bennett.
Interesting.
And I don't even think it's close, to be honest with you.
Well,
it's not Barkov ripping it home every night, or Reinhardt hasn't played and hasn't been scoring.
No,
Kachuk
Bob's been up and down at times in the playoffs. Like
it's easily
good,
Sam
but...
Bennett. He's been easily Sam Bennett.
Yeah, I guess it probably like. What about the third line though? Like, could it be Lundell? Could it be Brad Marchand? Like, he's been really good. Seth Jones. I don't know. I guess I'm going to actually confirm that there isn't a clear-cut one, because I agree Bennett's been big and he's put up really good numbers, but he's not. They still got to win 5 more games to get to the Stanley Cup. I'm not convinced he would win it. Like, it may be setting up for if it's Edmonton, Florida again, where McDavid's going to win the Conn Smythe regardless of the outcome. Like, that might happen again. Let's say Florida beats them in 7 and McDavid's got 43 points in the playoffs. And can you imagine the guy went back-to-back Conn Smythes and they lost both times? It actually is reasonable to suggest it could happen again this year. I hope it doesn't for his sake, clearly, but it's not far-fetched.
Well, those Dallas Stars better put something together tonight, or they're going to be well on their way. Other than one period, It's been Edmonton Oilers.
Yep. Yeah, you lose. If Edmonton wins tonight, I don't know, man. I mean, that feels like curtains, doesn't it? Like, you give
really
those guys kind of blood in the water and them feeling it, and they realize they're that close to getting back to where they were heartbroken a year ago. I think you're right on that.
I just got to mention, like, I can't, if they do get back there, I can't compliment and give enough praise to a team, like, for going back there. If they get back there, like, the heartbreak and to get over that and to go through it again and to get right back there, that is so impressive, man.
It's amazing. Like the idea that
really
Florida did it and now they're doing it, and how rare that is, how tough it is to lose in a championship series and get back the next year. It takes incredible fortitude, man.
Yeah.
And professionalism and dedication and drive and obviously talent and ability.
And orange slices.
Final one, confirm or deny, one of McIlroy or Scheffler will win a golf tournament in the next 3 weeks. So one of them it's Memorial, RBC Canadian Open, U.S. Open. One of them is going to win one of the next 3.
I totally confirm that. It almost seems impossible that wouldn't happen the way that they're playing. Like if one of them's dialed in and on their game at a tournament, it seems like they're going to win. It's just
Scheffler in particular. McIlroy, ever since that Masters, man, he has not been great.
Yeah, maybe it's taken a lot out of him. Who knows? But he'll get back on track, man.
He will at some point. He's too good of a player, and he will.
That's 100% confirmed, though.
Yeah.
Every time we say, "Oh, the field," but take the field's so good. It's always one of those guys.
Well,
man.
Scheffler's the one that scares me. Like he's playing the Memorial this week, and then the U.S. Open at Oakmont. Oakmont just screams Scheffler, man. Like that guy's going to hit every fairway and every green, and if his putter's in the top 50, he's going to win by 3.
Yeah.
Maybe more because it's the bomb and gouge and all that kind of stuff. But you've played Oakmont. You've seen it's so tough and the rough. I've already seen the pick that they famously do every year. Drop the ball in the rough. Have you seen the pictures? It's insane. Now they'll cut it down. The USGA softened over the years. I don't think they play it as tough as they used to. But if it's anywhere close to like penal and crazy rough at that place, there is going to be such a premium on hitting fairways. And Scheffler just places his ball 320 down the fairway. Like he walks up there and drops it and goes, "This is where I'm playing from."
Dude, insane greens too. Insane greens.
Right.
Like the member, you talk about dropping in the rough. Like the member that I had the opportunity to play with on the putting green was like, just putt that one to that pin like way down there. He goes, you just have to touch it. I've never seen greens like that before in my life at Oakmont. Crazy ass greens.
Yeah. I love that they're back there, man. I love because it's just going to be. It feels like 3 under could win the tournament.
Yeah.
It's one of those. But I'll confirm it because of Scheffler. I think he's going to win one of the next 2 tournaments he plays in. I do. McIlroy, we'll see. He loves the RBC Canadian Open, but it's a great field next week. And we got a pair of tickets we're going to give away. Every single day this week, we're giving away tickets to the RBC Canadian Open. We'll tell you more about that. We're going to give them away in the next 20 minutes to a half an hour. Panger's coming up. Noodles will be back. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Just watch me dance.
Hazy, I played with that lunatic on Sunday. You know the dude that hits the 300-yard 2-irons? You played with him.
Yes, I did. Yep.
7-time club champ Danny Perrick hitting 300-yard 2-irons.
Stingers.
Dude, blowing it by everyone's driver. It was insane-o world.
That was one of the most remarkable rounds I've ever witnessed. It sucked for me because we were playing with a guy who was a +4, a +2, and you were a scratch. You were the third best guy in that group. And I'm like, can we play off a different tee deck? I'm trying to keep up. This guy's mashing 2-iron stingers all over that track. I think he shot 68.
Yeah,
and never
just
touched
300.
the driver.
They're longer than ever. He's got this new 2-iron. It goes 300 yards.
Who's making 2-irons anymore?
I don't know, man. He's an old. That guy can play though. He's a legend in amateur golf in the GTA.
Yes. Well, that's it, man. If you hit a 2-iron because you choose to, because you know what you're doing with it.
No, he wants it. He's horny for it.
Yeah.
Any hole, he's like, give me that par 5s. He just
I know
pulls
that.
out a 2-iron.
I remember it. I witnessed it. Part of the third hole at Weston, uphill par 5. I think he went 2-iron, and lipped out an eagle putt. It was crazy.
Yeah, he's insane, man.
Yeah, that's that. I wish I could do that. You just have to have so much control of your golf ball and your club, and everything's got to be so perfect in terms of mechanics. And what's crazy about that, and we all know it, is you go out and watch these guys at the RBC Canadian Open. I'm lucky enough I get to play in the Pro-Am, and I'm nervous this year because I'm playing horribly. I haven't been playing a lot. I'm trying to get out, and my game is brutal. And it's not going to be a good year for me. I could feel it already. But to watch these pros hit shots, it's just crazy. It is crazy how
What's
good they are.
fascinating, if you can ever get the chance to get up close and personal on a tee block, is how loud their driver sounds.
Yes.
It has a you can play with your buddies on a Saturday or Sunday morning. The sound off their driver, it's just it's like an explosion. It's crazy how loud it is.
Yes, they are mashing the golf ball.
Yes.
Mashing it. We're going to be at the RBC Canadian Open all week next week. First up, we'll be there, Golf Talk Canada. We're going to be there Wednesday through Friday. You got to come and check us out. We're at the rink hole. We can't wait. This Thursday, you're going to be up there, right, playing Osprey Valley, the NHLPA and Golf Canada, a little mashup. There's going to be a lot of former pros and current pros. It's going to be great. We'll continue to look ahead to that. We got to do some picks tomorrow for the Memorial, that's for sure. And we're giving away tickets to the RBC Canadian Open. We'll do that in the final hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
up now. Believe it. Know you heard about it, now you can see it.
The Canadian Elite Basketball League takes flight with every game all season long.
Oh my goodness!
The CEBL lives here on TSN and TSN Plus.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan, our good friend Darren Pang coming up here in a few moments.
Any word from the soccer chat? I guarantee someone's reached out to you by now.
I have not heard yet, but I noticed Doogie posted that online, so now it's out there. It's gone viral. I love that. Like, we had to post that. We had to get that out so everyone can see it and it can be passed around.
You're going to have Karens climbing through your chimney, man. It's going to be outrageous.
Yeah, I might have to take a week or two off. Yeah. Although it's our turn to have snack, I think, next week. So, like, it's a big one. Like, everyone, all eyes are on us. We got to hook it up next week.
That's where you bring in the ice cream truck.
That's where I might just go all out.
That
Everyone
guy who shows up at 5 o'clock on your block all the time and pisses you off, you just say, do me a favor. Here's $100. Show up, next whatever.
You're right. I need that guy. He jams me up every single night. He comes by the house.
Yeah.
And I can hear the jingle coming from a mile away.
Buddy, send him over. Just say, here's $500. Come over after practice and whatever anybody wants to get it. That's a big league move.
Park is packed, man. You get nice weather.
It's just your team. Just your team.
Just our team,
well, you
not
give
the
them
other
wristbands.
teams. Then I'm really going to be outlawed.
Give them a little stamp on the hand. If you see a stamp, you give them whatever they want.
Right. Yes, the red team comes over. Actually, no.
So let me ask you,
allowed.
what are you planning for your what is your snack night going to be?
I'm not sure it's been established.
Like, are you going to fire up you're going to fire up a lasagna in the oven,
I'm
aren't
not
you?
bringing a lasagna. Although that would be hysterical to see the kids' reaction to my lasagna coming out after the game.
Yeah. You coming from the van with 2 sheets of lasagna.
You want snacks? I got snacks.
Yeah.
Here's my world famous lasagna.
Yeah.
And you know how many people take issue, most of them Italian, with the idea that I claim I have the greatest lasagna in the world.
Yeah, Andy Petrillo wants to drive to your house and attack you.
There are so many people that take offense to that. I find it so funny. But
dude, the snacking though, like, it's amazing how out of control it is. When I was a member at a private ski club, I've never seen people take lunch so seriously. I would leave the ski club and go to Tim Hortons and get my kids a plain bagel with cream cheese and a thing of orange juice, a little container, and I'd throw it on the table and say, there you go, kids. These people had the most gigantic lunch, like charcuteries, and just...
Oh, yeah, bringing them from home, you mean?
Yes,
yes.
yes.
It's a big part of it, right? It's a big part of planning the whole ski trip. Yeah, anyway, I'll keep you guys posted, man. Yeah. I don't know if I can personally show up because that may cause a bit of a problem or a scene.
Well, especially when you've been bad-mouthing him, but I think you should probably just have, like, quality snacks. Like, like quality, like, make the kids happy. Who cares what the parents
That's the priority
think?
here, exactly. We're here for the kids.
Have you know what else? If you have any leadership qualities, which is highly unlikely, have a team meeting. And just say, look,
why would I want to ever do that? I got a lot going on in my life.
I know, but have a team meeting and say all the Karen stuff. It's done. No more.
Okay.
Anyway,
I love you said
try.
if you have any leadership qualities, which is highly unlikely.
Right. And if I do, I'm going to apply them to soccer, the weekly soccer game. All right, Panger's coming up. Confirm or deny. Continued a little bit later on. The O-Dog. I guess, you were really selling the idea of bringing the core 4 back until Johnny came in and actually was like, yeah, that's what maybe needs to happen.
Dude, I didn't even have to sell that guy. He was like, I'm already all in because I know it's already happening.
I feel like Johnny might have some insight, man. I think Johnny might be sniffing out because, we're talking about Brad Treliving speaking with the media on Thursday.
And by the way, Thursday, just do a media scrum. You don't have to jump on the podium, man.
He'll be at the podium. The question will be will Pelly be up there with him? What would you think of that sign if Keith Pelly's up there?
I think that would be too much.
No, but what if, Brendan Shanahan's gone. So if Brad Treliving's role changes absolutely Keith Pelly is going to be there because Keith Pelly will have given him a different role as to, president of hockey, and general managers, vice president of something. Like that's what I'm thinking is if Brad Treliving was handed the keys to the car, the keys to the kingdom, his role has changed a little bit because he's not managing. It's not Brendan Shanahan above him. It's Keith Pelly. And
so what is he going to do? Is call himself and say, Tree, do you mind? It's Tree. Do you mind if I make this move? Yeah, you can make it. Okay, I'm going to make it.
I think he has to run it through, which would be Keith Pelly, who would be the top of the food chain. And then,
Yeah. And then you got to run it by somebody.
Exactly.
Someone's going to have to make a decision. It's not carte blanche. No GM has that power. Anyway, maybe our next guest has that type of power with the NHL on TNT and everywhere else he works. Here's our good friend Darren Pang. How you doing, Panger?
I have all the power in the world right now to step outside of this place that I'm in at the lake, go putt, and then go on the boat. That's about as much power as I have right now. But,
yes, that's a lot of power, man.
Listen, and nobody brought me any snacks either. Nobody.
Well, that's disappointing. Send it to the group chat because there's it's bedlam in my neck of the woods right now.
I want to be in the group chat. I mean, peanut butter and jam sandwiches, something like that. Anything?
Okay.
That wouldn't be good enough, Panger.
No, because
Karen's
you're not allowed
like that.
peanut butter. You're not allowed
peanut
peanut
butter's
butter.
not allowed.
Peanuts
Kids
are not
can't bring
allowed.
peanut butter. That's true.
It's got to be peanut free.
Allergies and
yeah,
there's a lot of considerations, Panger. We're living in a different world right now, and in Toronto, we're wondering how different it could look and feel a month and a half from now. Are you embracing change, or do you think there's a chance that we're not going to see as much change as maybe some people are expecting?
Has anybody changed their evaluation? Seeing the 7 games that they put forth against a really good hockey club. Change is inevitable when you don't win. Change. I think the Leafs and I think the Leafs fans and I think managers and even Shanny to that extent, they've all been very patient with the group that they've had, and they've all gave them everything they've needed to be successful. So the problem with change is that you're going to lose some good players and not get anything back from them. There's no assets, if you know what I mean. That's the tough part, saying goodbye to some players. But I've seen many teams go through the same thing where they have felt like, hey, that's our rental. We're going to take our chance with that player. Let's call him Mitch Marner or John Tavares, UFAs, and say we're going to go forward. This is what we're going to do. We're going to empty the tank. We're going to give it everything we've got, and they did. They just didn't play well in game 5s and 7 on home ice, and that's the real shame because otherwise it was a pretty darn good season. A brand new coach. I mean, by and large, a new coaching staff. I thought Chief did a great job, and I think they're starting to get what they have to do to beat these good teams like the Florida Panthers, and now it is inevitable. And now, if I'm not mistaken, guys, there's only 32 or 33 contracts that they have of the 50 that you can allow as a pro hockey team. So between the minors and the NHL, there's lots of room.
What would you do, Panger?
Lots of room.
What would you do?
What would I do? Well,
like what would you be like leaning towards like doing?
Oh boy, you've opened up a open commentary because
Let's hear it. We've been getting everyone's opinion today.
Well, for me, the way that Chief coaches, and I'm not speaking for Chief, but a big move would be Willie Nylander, to be honest with you. I mean, I know I said that last time, and I said I think he's got to have a big game, and he did have a big game, and I think that might have been game 6 when we talked. But I think there's a style of play that's not working, and I think the guys that get the heat all the time it's Marner. He gets the heat. Well, I think he plays a pretty determined two-way game. I don't see the same thing from Willie. I see a guy that can skate real well. I can see a guy that can make a play, gets open, gets opportunities, like the breakaway he had in a key moment of the game. But I mean, you want to blow things up. I mean, make a move that you can get one player out and get 2 players back. All the managers have done that over time. You lacking some depth in that top 9. You might not have John Tavares. You won't have a Mitch Marner from the sounds of it. That's 2 pretty elite hockey players. You're talking about handing the keys over to Willie, and you've got Austin, and you've got Nyes. You better be careful about Nyes because there could be a team cherry picking out there. Who's to say a team doesn't offer him a boatload of money and say, you know what? in a smaller version, the Edmonton Oilers got burnt by St. Louis because they weren't proactive in two players. That happened. So who's to say a team's not going to do that? What happens if there's no Matthew Nyes and there's no Mitch Marner and there's no John Tavares and there's only Austin Matthews and Willie Nylander? I mean, those are ifs. Those are big ifs, but they're also probable ifs as well. So I think the time is now to, if you're going to make moves, you've got to make the same kind of moves that I thought years ago Doug Armstrong did a really good job of, and that is he got a Ryan O'Reilly as a 27-year-old. Yeah, he gave up a guy, Tage Thompson, that ended up being a really good player. He was a late draft pick. He gave up a little bit in the first round pick, and he got Braden Shen. How good has that been? I mean, that's a 26-year-old heavy player. So maybe this is the time that Brad Treliving knocks on a lot of doors and sees what he can get for a 1 for a 2 or 1 for a 3, and make a wholesale change that inevitably leads to this being his hockey club and not anybody else's. And this is the opportunity right now to make that move. And you've already signed a coach to a long-term deal. He's proven to be a terrific coach. He's proven to be a guy that loves Toronto. And I think that you've got to work with him to find out the kind of players that are going to work with him and continue to advance this team the way they did this year. Because I thought they had a heck of a year, to be quite honest with you.
They had a really good regular season. They did. I mean, they won their division, which is something that they hadn't done in 25 years. It's like it's been that long.
It's a long
won
time.
the first round. A long time. Played well against Ottawa. And, the issue, of course, is the end of the series against Florida. And yet, you look at the Panthers, Panger, and, the term dynasty gets thrown out. And I feel like it's been modified a little bit over time because
not too often it gets tossed out.
No, not too often, but like a true dynasty, like you look at the Islanders in the early 90s, or early 80s, like that's a dynasty, man. That's 4 straight cup wins and you go to a 5th one. The Oilers winning I think 4 times in 5 years. You look at the Steelers back in the day, the Habs back in the day.
Would the minor day dynasty be the Blackhawks then of 10?
Yeah, exactly.
13,
I think so. I think so.
That's got to be the standard in which a team tries to get to at this particular point. Anyway, Pittsburgh for a little bit of time with 2 in a row, but not enough to get the 3rd one. Yeah.
And I'm curious what you think of Florida's chances of having that conversation not only over the next month and a half, but years beyond this. Like, could we look back in the year 2030, let's say, and look at them and say, man, they picked off like 4 Stanley Cups and went to 5 of them. Is that possible with this group?
That's very possible with this group. I mean, very possible. Now, keeping Sam Bennett is a big part of that equation. Not sure where Aaron Ekblad's going to be, but, they also back that up by getting Seth Jones, who's proven to be a really good performer. Under pressure, Seth Jones, he knows how to play the game when it's under pressure, and he can skate out of traffic and what have you. Funny thing about Seth, we had him on TNT prior to game 1, and he said the first thing that the coaches said to him was, get rid of the rocking chair, Seth. Start skating again. Get going. Yeah. We want our D to get going. But I mean, looking at that, so if they lose Ekblad, if they lose Sam Bennett, I think there's still a whole lot of pieces right there that they could continue on. But the hardness and the way that Sam Bennett plays, to me, that's the engine for them. So that would be real tough if they did lose him. But let's just hypothetically say that they keep him and they lose Ekblad. My feeling is that they're going to make a lot of journeys to the Stanley Cup Final. I don't think they're done just yet. They're certainly not done this year.
No, they're a deep team. And outside of last night, it was a boring, low-event game. But, you had to feel at some point, law of averages, that Carolina was going to get at least 1. And they did, so we'll see what happens back in Carolina. But you slide over the other series, Panger. What do you make of the goaltender battle? I mean, you had Jake Ottinger coming in, and he had been the best goaltender in the playoffs coming into this series. And Stuart Skinner has been much maligned, Jekyll and Hyde. And now you've got Skinner that's playing well and Ottinger looking to find his game. And what do you make of that?
Yeah, really interesting, isn't it, Noodles? Because just when you think someone's got that rhythm and they're on a roll and they're just seeing the puck so well, and it can be derailed so quickly. And I've always been amazed that the greatest goalies in the world have been able to get their 2 feet back on the tracks faster than anybody else. And It's probably what made a lot of us marginal, not having the ability to get back on track very quickly. And you played with a lot of great goaltenders, and certainly I've seen a lot of great goaltenders myself. And Jake Ottinger, to me, has that Control-Alt-Delete button that's really impressive. He forgets, and that's great. The one thing that he does, and I actually talked to him about this in the previous series, was when he gets sliding, that's a reminder for him and Jeff Reese to get back on their game. Over sliding, pushing, sliding, pushing, sliding. And basically in our conversation, was it a matter of just taking things for granted? Was it a matter of fatigue because you're not using your edges? And he thought it was a combination of everything. And sometimes it's just a reminder to stay on your blades a little bit longer and stay on your edges. So I'm sure there'll be corrections, because I'm really impressed with Jake Ottinger and how quickly he can correct things. With Stuart Skinner right now, I mean, this is amazing. Amazing that he won a game and didn't get a shutout in the last one.
Can they win a cup with him, Darren? Can they win the Stanley Cup with Stuart?
O-Dog, I'm convinced that the Edmonton Oilers don't give a hoot what's back there. I swear to it. I've never seen a team so resilient. And I don't know how they do it. I mean, Calvin Pickard, who doesn't love Calvin Pickard? The guy is a gem of a guy. I can see how he endears himself to his teammates so well. Everybody loves the guy. I mean, technically, Noodles, we're not going to stick him into a goalie school and say, okay, here's how you're going to do it. But what you are going to do is you're going to say, here's how you take a character, you take a player that knows how to win over his teammates, and then, by the way, you throw in some gumption and some battle and survival mode, and he can somehow win his teammates over and make some saves. Are they going to win with Calvin Pickard? I don't know. They might. They might have to. They might have to go back to him again. But I believe, basically, O-Dog, to answer your question, yes, I do believe they can win with Stuart Skinner. I believe they can do so because of what they did last year, being down 3-0, how he played earlier, how Calvin had to come in. They've done it again this year. I don't think they care. They don't give a rat's rear end. As long as that puck stays out of the net and you don't give up that slimy, greasy, momentum-sapping goal against, that they somehow find a way to battle back despite what's in the net. It's pretty remarkable to me. So, yes, my answer is yes, O-Dog.
Well, we were talking about it earlier this afternoon. Yeah.
That's what you get paid the big bucks for, Darren.
I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it. And like, Pickard has not lost a game, and he's available tonight, and he's not playing. Like, when has that ever happened? 6-0, and they're like, nah. And obviously you're not going to play him. Of course you're going to continue with Skinner. He's playing so well right now.
Ride Seabiscuit while Seabiscuit's kind of cooking here a little bit.
Yep.
And then if Seabiscuit has a little wound, and off to the side we go, and let's move the next guy in. And they don't seem to be bothered by it all. They just need one or two really good saves early in a hockey game, and they're off and running.
That seems to be the way it works. Darren Pang with us. Mikko Rantanen was so good early in these playoffs, and everything he touched went in the net, and now all of a sudden he's really cooled off. He's on a bit of a cooler. Their offense has been on a bit of a cooler. Is he the guy that you're looking at on the Dallas side of things? Like, Rantanen's got to get chugging again for this engine in Dallas to really rev back up?
You know who I'd like to really add some edge and some salt is Jamie Benn. I think it's hard at a later age, especially if you're not a gifted skater, to get to certain areas, and he's trying to get to these areas. But I'd like to see Dallas get pucks in and get pucks in against the right D, time it well, get him getting some skin early on in a hockey game, get that edge going back to the game. I think Dallas is lacking that part, but on the top line, I mean, Granlund has played some exceptional hockey, and that's that little like wrister that he's got. That's like almost like a little lacrosse kind of, sidewind and wrister that he's got that keeps fooling everybody. Rantanen, to me, takes up a lot of oxygen on that team in a good way. I mean, if they're going 7-11 like they've done a lot of times, he's the one that jumps out there and he gets on the fourth line, or whatever line they utilize the extra guy with. And so I'd like to see him bowl his way right through the blue paint. I think a lot of times, especially if he plays a lot, I think there's a lot of deferring to the outside. I've often said not many guys can score with their rear end against the boards like this guy can, and still carry three guys on his hip. So that part's amazing. But man, why not go to the paint right off the hop and just get in someone's kitchen and rattle some pans around? That's what I'd like to see. Something greasy and ugly and battling, and drag Rope Hintz into the battle as well. And I think they know what they're going to get with Granlund every single night. And I know Rope Hintz has got a lot of responsibility being a really great defending centerman, but I think there's more to that line. And I think there's that grit factor is one area that can really, I think, make a difference for that line, especially for Rantanen. Get that big butt right going to the blue paint.
Yep, big time. Always great catching up with you, Panger. We'll let you get back out to, I don't know, where you going? The lake? You going to roll putts? What are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm going to take those Mirror clubs and I'm going to go chip around out there and maybe roll some putts. I got the putting green at about a 13.5 on the stimp out there.
There you go. You're dialing up for the U.S. Open, Panger. Yeah, you're getting ready for Oakmont.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oakmont's got nothing on the rough out here.
I love it. Enjoy yourself. Thank you, Darren. We appreciate it, as always.
My pleasure. Take care, fellas. Enjoy the
There's
game.
Darren Pang of the NHL on TNT. It's always a great move when you got your own putting green in the backyard. Outstanding.
Yeah, that's not bad. You got to have the real estate to do it, though, don't you?
Yeah, and like to get it really dialed in, like for it to actually be a green, like because usually they're fake kind of greens, right? It's not real grass, but if you dial in and you actually have it at like a 13.5, that
What
is
you got to
serious
get is
business.
some quality people like the guys that did mine that have the decency to come back the year after and the year after that, because weeds start growing under it, and they got to trim it up and dial it in.
Take care
And
of
if you get good guys that come back, then it's worth it.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Maybe you can reach out to people up at TPC Toronto, Osprey Valley, because they're getting ready for the RBC Canadian Open. And as we know, next week, the world's top golfers descend on TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley for the RBC Canadian Open. Here's your chance to win a pair of general admission any-day tickets to the tournament. The first caller through right now at 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050. First caller in will win the tickets and see all of the events at the course. So come for the golf, stay for the food, drinks, and party. General admission tickets include live performances for Billy Talent and Sam Roberts Band during the SiriusXM concert series on Friday and Saturday night. Plus, you can catch First Stop Golf Talk Canada and us, the OverDrive crew, broadcasting live on site. That will be at the rink hole, the 14th hole. Visit rbccanadianopen.com to buy your tickets today. rbccanadianopen.com. The best party all year, man. It's always a blast. We can't wait for it. We love it. I've been there on the weekend the last couple of years. I intend on doing that again this year. It's an amazing scene. McIlroy seemingly makes the cut every year, but there's so many great players this year. It's just going to be an awesome party. It's such a great spot, and Osprey Valley is an amazing venue for it because there's so much land.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of room to maneuver up there.
What's our parking situation?
Yeah, we got to sort that out.
A little birdie told me it is as textbook, and look at you partying. That's what it's worthy of. It's as good as it can get. Basically, it's almost a pull-in right into the broadcast
Really?
booth.
That's
Now we're talking.
Is that?
Yes.
And I know that that's a lie. Someone told
may
you
not
that
be
to
truthful.
shut us up,
Probably.
and then we're going to get there, and it's going to be planes, trains, and automobiles.
But that's a part of the fun. Watching Doogie try to drive around in his golf cart and get lost.
You'll get lost, and then the last time. Remember, you like halfway through said, "Get out! I'm driving."
Yeah, just took over the whole operation and started motoring around.
And people were trying to stop us, and you were basically like just bullying your way through.
That was at Royal
Doogie's-
Montreal too. We did that.
Yeah.
Well, if it was on Doogie's timeline, it would just. It was.
get
You
lost.
guys know it's fast paced. You got to keep moving. Like you get in that cart, you got to boogie. It's not stop and chats. It's not. Hey, sir, where are we going? No, you just go. You go.
Yeah, you go, and honestly, if you look the part, generally they will believe that.
That
you're
is exactly.
actually
You got to
doing what
drive
you're
that
supposed
cart
to do.
like you're going to right. You got Jim Nance in the cart, and if you drive it like that, everyone just looks at you and says, "Come on through."
Yeah.
Come
That's
on
right.
through.
No one's stopping Jim Nance. Like
No.
Jim Nance can cruise around and do basically anything. He could be doing, wheelies on the 18th green, and no one's going to bat an eye.
Exactly.
I don't think Doogie can pull off that type of behavior, nor would we ever advocate for it, condone it, or allow it. But we're
Boys.
jacked. We're jacked to get up there. Yes, Doogie,
I almost flew off the cart a couple times when O-Dog was taking the wheel.
Yeah, that was a concern as well, because the O-Dog doesn't really care about what other people are doing in the cart. It's more just about him driving
for dear life.
Rolling down
Tell
the
you
hill.
a story I heard about
way.
the Canadian Open last year. Somebody told me that I golfed with last weekend. They said they saw Carlo Koliakovo in one of the luxury suites.
Yeah.
And they said that he put together a plate of groceries at a buffet that was second to none. And I'm like, if Carlo's got a growl on, he can pile up some groceries on a plate, man.
Yes, he can, man. That guy can eat with the best of them.
He's like, I didn't obviously say anything, but I was horse-eyeing Koliakovo in the buffet line, and this guy put a mound of food together that was insane.
Like he was going to the electric chair type of thing.
I think he just can pile back some groceries if he's hungry.
Yeah, well, that's it, man. He's a big dude. Like, he's a tall guy. He's an athletic guy, but he can get after it. And that is the thing about being a public figure. And you guys know this way better than I do. But now, like, people, if they catch you doing something like that,
they'll snap pics.
Oh, they'll snap a pic immediately.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a buffet and there's 20 wings and
Dude, that thing goes in. You
talked
talked about your soccer group. That thing will go in a group chat. It says, look at Coco's food. Look at the plate he put together.
Oh, I know that.
Look at Hayes eating wings at the Leaf game or something like that. You're George Costanza with it all over your face.
That's right. Someone snapping it and sending it to their friends saying, look at this guy. Look at what he's doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lineup of people that wanted the wings, and he took every single one of them. There were 25 in there, and he took every single one. And then that gets online, and then the rest is history.
Yeah.
All right, Jay's in action tonight. You guys see, we talked about it. Tyrese Halliburton, his dad's going to be in the house tonight, but he won't be sitting courtside. I guess he's going to be in a suite. That seems reasonable. You know, if you're going to get back in there after doing what he did to Giannis, like, maybe you got to take your action upstairs, right? You can't be in front of the cameras, can't be in front of the public. But it's a basic feels like a must-win for the Knicks. You know, they kind of survived the other night. Series is at 2-1 Indy. Knicks have got to get it tonight. And then Game 4, Edmonton-Dallas feels the same way for the Dallas Stars. Both road teams tonight, the Knicks and the Stars, have got to find a way to pick up a win. Jay's in action as well. So we'll continue to look ahead to that. We'll get to our best bets later in the hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel later in the hour. Got a bunch of good games tonight. Again, we got the Jays in action, the Oilers in action, the Knicks in action tonight. And, you had sent this earlier, and Doogie and Joe from the Bridge were going back and forth on it. This Abbotsford Canucks announcer.
I saw that yesterday.
Who was attacked by a fan during the call. We have it.
Yes.
The video, the audio, everything. You guys prepared to break this down?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's hear this guy.
Got some Yahoo your chap chirping at me from behind. Get out of here. What was he doing? Security. Try that again. I'm fired up. He threw my chair at me. Hit me right in the back of the leg. Like, what was he doing here? Unreal. Have another beer.
Can you imagine during a game, like most guys would be like, I got to turn the mic off and this play's got to go silent. He just let it fly.
I kind of love that. I love it. It's like, like a streaker on the field of play. Like some broadcasters don't acknowledge it. Kevin Harlan's like, I'm doing play-by-play on this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to live with it. And that's the thing about certain rinks. That's an American Hockey League rink, and you look at like Rimouski and the Memorial Cup. The NHL, you can't get to the broadcasters.
Yeah.
Right? They're tucked away. In the minors, you can kind of just walk around and see them.
You can get to anybody in the minors. Seriously.
Yes.
Like it is.
That's a dangerous game. You got a guy that's had 15 beers throughout the day wanting to climb up where there's a microphone and bother people.
And what's he yelling at the play-by-play guy for?
Yeah, like what did he do?
What
like
did
it's
that
his
guy
fault
do?
his team's down 2-0.
Right.
Like that's the most insane part.
Threw a chair at him. Threw his chair at him.
I got to ask Duthie. We'll bring it up tomorrow. I believe this might have been like going back to 06 or something. Didn't a guy try to get on stage or something, attack Bobby Mack? And Bobby Mack
I think it was
pushed
at
him
the
off?
All-Star. No, I think it was at the All-Star game, and Bobby Mack gave the guy a forearm shiver, and he went off the stage or something.
I thought it was in Carolina in the finals, but it was. And Bobby Mack, I don't think was mic'd. It might have been in the back hall, but he you're right, forearm shivered the guy right off of the stage.
That's one thing about Bobby Mack. I've done a lot of on-site sit-downs, games, World Juniors. He'll sign autographs, hello, pics, selfies. The moment you interrupt and be ignorant when we're trying to work, he doesn't like that at all.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable
That's
for
fair.
anyone to have that standard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But when you cross that line, he's like, hey, man, get out of here. Just stop it. That's enough.
It is awkward. Like, it's one thing if someone's been boozing, then you understand, their clock isn't working properly, and it's also more aggravating because you can't really get to the guy. You can't reason with the guy.
Right.
But we've had these experiences where, you're broadcasting in public and someone will just start talking to you. Like you're on the air doing the show and someone's over here
the
being
Canadian Open a couple years ago, there was drunk guy. Remember the guy that
that guy was boiled. Like that was a different scene because he was trying to get in, and then that would have been an awkward situation. I'm talking sober, like, hey, O-Dog, hey, who do you think's going to win the tournament? It's like, I can't talk to you right now. We have the headsets on. We're live.
Yeah.
Like that one is those ones are weird.
Is insano.
Yeah.
Like if you have any brains at all, if someone has a headpiece on like this and has hand gestures and it clearly looks like they're on air talking and you're firing out, hey, O-Dogs.
Yeah.
Like, what do you no one's going to turn around in the middle of a television show and be like, hey, pal, how are you? Like,
it's insanity. It's insanity.
It is. It's a complete lack of awareness. Yet I think some people freeze. I think it's one of those things you don't expect to run into someone or whatever. But this one is particularly crazy. Like, for whatever reason, this guy hates the play-by-play guy. And maybe that's it. He's just a big Abbotsford fan, and he doesn't think this guy calls a good game. I don't know what the backstory is. But that is the concern, is that, like, generally speaking, you run into people, and everyone's very nice, cordial. They just want to talk about whatever. Hey, what do you think of the Leafs? What do you think of the game tonight?
It's something about getting your attention. Like, the one guy at the golf tournaments is be like, hey, O-Dog, and it's 5 O-Dogs, and then you look, and it's like it's Jimmy from the golf course. And then you're like, hey.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah, I know. It's like, hey,
course.
Jimmy, like, how are you?
Yeah,
it's
Jimmy,
like,
what's
they just
happening,
had,
man?
They had to yell your name 10 times to say, it's Jimmy from the golf course. And then you look down, you're like, I guess, hi, Jimmy. Like, what?
Yeah.
You're not
we're
coming
gonna
up
see
here.
Jimmy.
Like,
We're going to see Jimmy next week.
We are going to get a few Jimmys from the
week
golf
tomorrow.
course next week for
Yes,
sure.
I always love
It
it.
happens all the time. I think I
great.
told you my first ever game as a Calgary Flame in like 01 or something. I was backing up, and I'm literally sitting there. It's my first NHL game with the Calgary Flames, and a guy is banging on the glass to my left in a fur coat, and it's a guy from my grade 7 class. I remember him. I remember his name. I don't want to say his name. His name was Doug.
Okay.
And he was screaming at me, banging on the glass and saying, hey, it's Doug. And I'm like, hey. And he's yelling, call me. And I'm like, I don't have your number. And that was in grade 7. I'm, 30 years old at the time or whatever.
and it's the middle of a hockey game.
And it's the middle of the game. And Scott Nicklaus skates by and goes, hey, get your agent out of here. We're trying to play hockey. And I was like, oh, my God. I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man.
And I didn't know what to do. But it just, like, what are you supposed to do? He's behind the glass. Like, it's not like we can have a full conversation. And it was weird. Greg Gilbert was our coach. That's how long it goes back. Craig was our GM. So that was, like, I think 01. And a guy from my junior high is yelling at me.
You guys would have a lot of those, I'm sure, like throughout your playing career. And, like, you were talking about in junior, your brother's buddies yelling at you when you were playing.
Over the glass.
And, yeah. Like, I had
my first OHL game, like first overall draft pick, and my oldest brother's drunk buddies that were all living in Waterloo area hang their heads over the glass, and they were just yelling about beers after the game and stuff. And I'm like, my coach already must hate my guts. I'm
Right.
like, how could you have the audacity to do that?
it is obscene behavior.
Oh.
Now, at least, like, you were the first overall pick, superstar, so the coach was probably laughing.
Yeah.
But I recall, and this wasn't bad. It was innocent in nature. But my grandfather lived in Flint, like just outside of Flint, Michigan, my whole life.
Yeah.
So when I went to play against Plymouth, he's an American, doesn't know hockey, didn't know sports. So I didn't see him before the game, of course, left tickets or whatever, and I'm in warm-up. And he's massive guy, 6'5", 6'6", over the boards, waving at me, calling me over. And I got my head down. I'm doing laps like I'm trying to warm up for the game. I can see him in my peripheral. And I'm like, I can't go over to this guy. He's calling me over, like waving me. Hey, wait, he doesn't know. He didn't know any better. Like, he should have known better, I guess.
Dude, I played in London against the Knights one time, and the door opens, and it's my Uncle Norm in London, and he's got a giant bushel of apples for me. And I love it. My uncle was awesome.
Oh, the best.
But I was
totally
like,
innocent. But it's still
totally
like,
innocent. But I'm like, you cannot wheel into this locker room right
Yeah.
now with a bushel of apples.
Yeah.
No, I remember
it's not
calling my dad and be like, Dad, you're not going to believe what happened down there. Because he wasn't at the game. I'm like, he was over the boards and 6 foot, like a giant.
Just a monster hanging over the boards.
Yeah.
And
the best, you guys know the
waving.
story up in the Sioux where they knock on the door and they're like, "Oh, dog, your uncle's here." And I'm like, I do not have an uncle in the Sioux.
Yeah.
They open the door and this guy's pissed himself drunk and he falls down face first. And I'm like, get this guy out of here. He's
Get
not
him
my uncle.
out of here.
Yeah,
Who
he
is
was
that guy?
Oh my God, the guy was so wasted. And I said, "That's not my uncle, but thanks a lot. Don't you do any kind of security detail around here?"
And his last name probably was O'Neill, and he just figured, I'm going for it, man.
Yeah.
He just said, "I'm going in there."
Yeah, I'm doing it. Gary O'Neill from Sault Ste. Marie. I'm going in, and I'm going to give it a shot. And maybe it's true. Maybe there is some sort of a connection somehow. Oh, man.
Bushel of apples.
Yeah, the bushel. That's the best.
And
so
he was so honest. He told his wife
Yeah.
before he left, I'm going to take them to Jeff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Exactly.
take them.
I brought him on the bus. We ate him on the bus, but it was like I think we lost or something, and it was like you can't bring the apples in.
Yeah. Bushel, that's exactly what he was thinking. Oh, he's a young kid. He's living away from home.
Yeah,
he loves these apples. Yeah, he used to eat them all the time back in the day. I got to find a way to get him these apples. Anyway, all right, so we got Game 4 tonight, Oilers Stars. Is this a must? You think this is a must-win for Dallas?
Absolutely, man.
I do.
Kind of feels like
also-
it. doesn't it?
1-1 period.
Yeah, I also want to ask, we won't see it, will we? if I was playing for Edmonton, like, do you think Corey Perry would be chopping that Hintz on the top of the laces?
Ooh, that's the thing. This is one of those times where the injury, like, you can't hide it. Everyone knows what he's dealing with, but you'd like to actually hide this one.
Yeah, because he's going to have probably one of those plastic guards on it. But if you could take a piece of him off a draw or in front of the net or whatever, like, would you not, Like, maybe I'm...
Oh, Jamie, you do remember back in the day where if you dropped your glove and you wanted to be a hero and play the shift, someone would chop your fingers right off.
Exactly.
Like, it was mandatory. If you dropped your glove, it didn't matter if Wayne Gretzky was on a breakaway. You're picking your glove up and you're putting it on. Because somebody would chop your hand right off. But with all the cameras and all the spotlight and how greasy that would be, I don't know if somebody wants to be doing that.
I
mean, somebody might, but they're going to have a whole bunch of questions if somebody – like, it would be a Corey Perry move to go up and just absolutely chop him on the foot and act like nothing happened.
It's Corey Perry or Vander Kane. Like, it's one of those guys that goes – or it's Darnell Nurse again and goes, I'm going to – because people lost in all of that is Hintz cross-checked Nurse first. So he was actually they were in a battle in front of the net. So Nurse didn't like that, chops him on the feet. But, like, if I'm in a battle and Hintz is a top-tier player, you know that's his left foot. I don't know. I mean,
sure,
20 years ago, that left foot would have to be wrapped in a cast to play. Like, tonight, I don't know if he might have the shot protectors on it, but don't you think he would be fair game?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's like he got 2 minutes for that.
Yes.
He didn't even get a 5-minute penalty. So, you know, this is one where I could see goalies giving him a whack. Like, if he's in the crease and Skinner can get him, I could see him getting him.
Joe from the Bridge has put in the group chat, which is a good point. The Kings a couple years ago were going after Draisaitl's ankle when they knew he had the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, and that's even tougher because I don't think it's as delicate a high ankle sprain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to be tapped, like, it would hurt, but like if you have a broken bone and someone touches that, it's excruciatingly painful.
Man.
Yeah.
Like, excruciatingly painful. Where a sprain, I think, is different in terms of, like, you're trying to make them uncomfortable, but to hack at a foot that's broken, if you get it, that guy is going to be in so much pain.
Well,
like,
I don't know. I don't know if guys are wired that way, but that's something that I've got my eyes on tonight.
It would be so greasy. Like, it would be actually pretty easy to do in a scrum or something. You just absolutely chop down on his foot. But I don't know if anybody you would think that somebody would be interested in doing that, but it's pretty greasy, and I don't know if somebody would do it.
And furthermore, if you're going to use the old school analogy, you're right. But the other old school analogy will be someone on Dallas saying, I'm going to sucker punch McDavid if you touch Hintz.
Yeah, you're right.
So you can touch him if you want, but that means 97's free game, and I'm going to kill him tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
And
well, that would be easy for Jamie Benn to say right to their bench right before puck drop. You guys want to go near Hintz's foot? I'm going to grab Connor McDavid and dummy his ass. So what do you want to do? You want to party? Let's party.
You make up your mind. We can go play, and whatever happens, happens. But if you intentionally go after Hintz in the foot, go for it. But McDavid, see what's coming.
Yeah.
You know, that's the tit for tat.
It is. I mean, but Edmonton, that one thing, they've got that Frederick, that Kane, they've got some guys who can handle themselves
too.
Man. That's the one thing. I'll tell you this. You guys, I don't know if you watched intently last night's game because it was a little bit of a sleeper. This Sebastian Aho, I was disappointed. Like, there was a time he was on the penalty kill, and he had an opportunity to go in the corner and win a 50-50 battle. He pulled up short, and they kept the puck in. I was, like, flabbergasted. And, you called them a little light, that team? Like, that would drive Rod Brind'Amour nuts. Yeah. Like, that's a 50-50 battle. He can get that puck out. He intentionally let the Florida Panther player get the puck instead of him grabbing that and taking a hit to make a play because he didn't want to get hit.
Well, who the hell do you think Roddy's talking about where he said Jordan Staal and Martin can't be our best players? Rookies can't be our best players.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Directly at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just –
Yep.
Because I was glad that Carolina got one. Freddie looked good. Like, it was, but it just – I thought to him, I made a mental note of that. I was like, man, that just was not – that's one in the video room. If you show that, like, he would be –
luck with that.
He wouldn't – it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Embarrassing.
I didn't like it.
Well, let's see what comes of it tonight, and obviously Game 5 tomorrow, Florida, Carolina. All right, we'll come back with our best bets powered by FanDuel. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on YouTube Live.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, I just saw a pretty crazy stat that was tweeted out earlier this afternoon by OptaStats, that the Edmonton Oilers have scored 29 goals in this year's postseason at home. That's the most by any NHL team through 6 home playoff games since the Avalanche also scored 29 in 1997. 29 goals in 6 home games for the Oilers. Pretty daunting task for Dallas tonight, but your best bets are powered by FanDuel, and I'm on Dallas on the puck line tonight to at least keep it within one. I think it's at least a close game tonight. I could see Dallas winning. You're getting plus money on that. Mikko Rantanen's got to get going. He records a point tonight. Rantanen 3+ shots on goal. That paying plus 235. Those are your best bets powered by FanDuel. Jump on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and as we know, FanDuel's got every Stanley Cup playoff game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario.
I thought you said you saw the tweet about you asking for extras for the parents.
You look pretty hungry in that picture.
I did not need to bring that one up after the snacks conversation from earlier this afternoon.
Yeah. Man, I laughed at that.
Yeah.
I got a good chuckle.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Every parent, man, we've all been through it. Snacks are important, right?
They are.
It's important, and sporting events, very, very important, but mistakes happen sometimes, and everyone just needs to kind of relax.
This is my last question about this, because I seem to just let stuff marinate, and how did the dad or whoever, how did he leave it till the last second to just say, oh, sorry, I don't have anything? Like, when he arrived at the soccer field, didn't he realize that
I don't think he had any idea it was his day. I think it had been assigned. You know, there was one of those, a lot of people said, I'll take June 30th, I'll take July 7th, and then it was like, all right, this is what else we have, and you're scattered. And I think he probably was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't even know. I had no idea I was supposed to bring them. And now he knows. Now he is well aware that snacks are mandatory when it comes to soccer. Have to have them. All right, I can't wait for tonight. It's going to be great. Oilers and Stars, the Knicks and the Pacers. You got the Jays down in Texas. And tomorrow we'll be making our picks for the Memorial, right? Or a week tomorrow we're going to be at the RBC Canadian Open. Can't wait for that. And we got a lot in store. It's going to be fun. And Brad Treliving speaking on Thursday. We've talked a lot about that today as well. So we look forward to it tomorrow. All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it, as always. Thanks to everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, YouTube Live on the TSN YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
leadership meeting at the soccer field this week. You're in charge. 4 p.m.?
We'll chat then.